Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming to you on a Tuesday. So glad to be with you this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and streaming on video on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Wrzinski hanging out with you to start things off. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. We've got lots to get to on today's program. Plenty of Jayhawk talk. Michael Swain joins us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for Jayhawk Weekly. We're going to talk some Royals baseball as well, get you set for Game 2 of their 3-game series in Milwaukee against the Brewers tonight. Pregame at 6, first pitch at 6:40. But we begin the show. We don't normally do this, but we begin the show today with our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, who is gracious enough to join us today. Obviously, we missed him yesterday on account of Royals baseball. But Matt, gracious enough to join us today on a travel day for him. He is our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, that football show, the KC Sports Network, and his own subscribers-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. And he joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, we do appreciate you taking the time. And to show our thanks, we're going to put you on the NFL's competition committee here for just a little bit and ask for your vote on some rules that have either been tabled or passed or not passed in the NFL at the owners' meetings this week. And we'll start with the one generating the most discussion, the tush push. This has been tabled by the league. They will debate it a month from now. There's no resolution on whether or not it will be banned. But you're on the competition committee now, Matt. What say you? Ban the tush push or let it ride?
I'd leave it alone. I mean, look, one team is really good at it. One team. If everybody was really good at it, fine, ban it. Because then you can sit there and go, well, it's a play nobody wants to see, and it's boring, and so on and so forth. Okay, it's one team that's been awesome. And I think, to be fair, the Eagles have been the team. They perfected it. Give them credit. I'd hate to see another play get banned because one team is unbelievable at it. That being said, I think it's eventually going to get banned. I think it got tabled so they could try to rally some support to ban it. I don't know if they're going to get there. They need 24 votes. I was talking to some people today before I headed out to the airport. Said basically, look, I think it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. I think at some point it will get banned. And the way they might do it is just to say, listen, we're going back to a rule we used to have. You cannot push an offensive player with the ball forward. And that's a real easy way to get rid of it without actually banning a specific play.
How about the rule that has passed by the NFL owners that will allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season? We're essentially now going to the playoff rule that has been in place the last couple of years, the Josh Allen and the Bills rule, and we're going to have it in the regular season. It will remain just a 10-minute overtime, though. What do you think about this? Because I feel like at first blush, this is going to actually result in more ties in the NFL.
Yeah, that's actually kind of the interesting thing, right? Like, that would be an unintended consequence. I've heard a few people say that, and it was the first thing I thought. I agree with you. I don't mind it in a vacuum. Like, okay, fine, both teams get the ball. I would have gone to a 15-minute overtime, though, if you're going to do that. And I don't want to hear the NFL sit there and say, well, it's just a matter of safety. No, it's not. Like, come on. Who are they kidding? I would have liked to have seen them go to a longer overtime because then you're pretty much ensuring there's going to be 3 possessions. But I also think then you get into the whole conversation about, well, are the games just going to take too long? Are they going to run over there a lot of time? All those things. I don't mind it that both teams get the ball. The problem is, I think you are going to see more ties, and that's a pretty unsatisfying way to end the game. I think the NFL might come to regret doing this, even though once it went into effect in the postseason, I think this was always the end result.
Let's run another rule change past our new member of the competition committee, our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, here on 580 Sports Talk. Touchbacks, now bringing the ball out to the 35-yard line. You in favor of this move, or do you think this is just going to inflate offense?
So I'm in favor of it, but with a caveat. I like the fact we're going to have the return game return, no pun intended. And I do think it's going to make teams kick the ball into the field of play because I think teams are going to look at this and go, listen, if we can't cover a kick to the point that a guy's past the 35, we should fire a special teams coach. Like, there's no excuse for somebody to routinely be getting to the 35-yard line on a return. It's going to happen sometimes, of course. It shouldn't happen all the time. problem I have with it is all this stuff with the kickoff started because of, hey, you know what? It's too many injuries. It's too dangerous. Like initially they got rid of the wedge, and then it kind of turned into this idea of like, oh, let's just have touchbacks, and that's fine. And it goes to 25. Then it went to 30. Now it's going to 30. Why don't you just go back to having kickoffs, move the kickoff back to the 30-yard line, and just say, look, let's just play it out, no wedge, go from there. I almost feel like they've gone full circle with this in a very odd way.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. He's also the host of the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon, as well as that football show at the KC Sports Network. Generally joins us Mondays, but joining us Tuesday today here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. A couple other things notable that were adapted or discussed, at least at the owners' meetings. A change to replay assist. The eye in the sky will be able to do a little bit more when it comes to cleaning up penalty calls on the field. But do you think it goes far enough, Matt? Because I don't necessarily think it does, but I can also understand where the league is coming from, not wanting to have more flags thrown by somebody up in the booth.
Yeah, look, I think they look at it like if they start throwing more and more flags in the booth, in fact, I shouldn't say more and more, if they start throwing flags in the booth, it kind of neuters the officials. And that is something the officials are going to go nuts with their union. I don't think they want to deal with that. Now, look, here's the other side of this. I don't have a problem with them being able to do more replay assists. We saw that in the playoffs. I think it actually worked really well. It's a smart thing. However, I think if you're going to start doing that, then do you get rid of challenges? Do you just to streamline this whole thing? Do you need challenges? I mean, if you've got an eye in the sky that can reverse these calls, maybe you say, hey, you need them for those real close bang, bang. Is it a catch? Is it not a catch? Something like that. But I wonder if there's a way moving forward, obviously not this year, but moving forward, to just kind of streamline the process and not have the coaches questioning the officiating and the eye in the sky questioning the officiating. Then, of course, now we've got these, we've got a new way to measure a first down. We don't need the chain gang. I just wonder if there's a little bit of a cleaner way to do all this. But for now, I'm in favor of the fact the guy in the sky worked well last year, really worked in the playoffs. I think it's good.
The not original, the 2020 XFL got it right with the Sky Judge. You mentioned the chain gang. They are no longer of as much importance. I believe they're still going to be the backup, but now it'll be Sony's Hawkeye technology, another eye in the sky that is going to be the go-to for determining whether or not a team made the line to gain to get a first down, etc. They've put the chips in the ball forever. Now they're actually going to use them. They're going to use that technology. You're going to miss the chain gang? Are you going to miss Gene Sterator's index card out there on the field?
I am, actually. I'm completely against this. I think it's a fun part of the game to see the chain gang come out. You're wondering whether or not the chain's going to reach. I understand it's not technologically savvy. I get it. I'm also the guy that's against balls and strikes being called by a robot. Like, that's part of the game. I don't have a problem with that. I've been watching football for 30 years. I could think on one hand the amount of times where I felt the chain gang really, truly came into affect the football game. I look forward to when this technology fails in like the NFC Championship game, and then we're just back to the chain gang in the snow and it's chaos. Like what's happening. This year there's going to be some massive spot, and the equipment's going to fail, or the chip's not going to work. I mean. You know what's coming, and I look forward to the chaos.
That is an interesting question, though, because, we've seen each of the last couple seasons, there's always somebody who puts it on Twitter, oh, did you know there's actually already chips in the balls? Like, do we know that they work? Are we certain that it's actually functioning technology already?
I think the NFL feels pretty good about it, and they wouldn't be doing this, but at the same point, technology fails all the time. And and you wonder, like, you're going to get so used to this now, right? By like week 3, the chain gang will be a thing of the past. Everybody's going to be doing this. What happens if and when, and it's more like when, it fails in one of these games? Look, you're going to have the backup chain gang, like you mentioned. It's not going to just be anarchy out there. But I just think sometimes we go a little bit too far with some of this stuff. Like, with the chain gang, really a problem. Was that really like a massive issue the NFL was dealing with? I think, look, in the end, is it fine? Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. But I gotta be honest. I'm kind of rooting for one of the chips to fail in a huge game, just to see the chain gang just back out there with the drama unfolding in the fourth quarter.
I'm kind of interested in the idea of anarchy when it comes to spots, to be honest with you. A couple quick things outside of the owners' meetings, Matt. When is this Rodgers to Pittsburgh thing going to happen? Because I know the prevailing commentary is, he just wants to make this all about himself. Yeah, but then you've got the Rooney family, who's also very openly like, oh, yeah, I bet this is probably going to happen soon. When are they just going to kiss and get together? I don't understand why we need to keep dragging this out. They've got to be arguing pennies at this point.
Well, I don't even think it's a matter of finance. I think it's a matter of Rodgers just doesn't want to commit because, A, it is publicity and it's attention. And I don't normally feel that way about a guy, but I think with him that there's a lot of accuracy in that. Secondly, Minnesota hasn't fully closed the door. And I think if he had his druthers, would he go to Minnesota? A lot of people in the league feel like yes. My feeling is there's no way he's going to Minnesota, or it's at least very unlikely. Look, I've been in the Vikings building in the last couple of months. They genuinely love McCarthy. They were super excited about him last year before he got hurt. And I can't imagine they're going to go to Rodgers here unless something changes between now and then. The problem is for Minnesota, it would have to change between now and the draft because I think Rodgers, you have to sign for the draft. If you get to the draft, and let's just play in a world here for a minute where Shedeur Sanders slips to Pittsburgh or he slips to 12 and Pittsburgh goes up and trades for him. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you're screwed. Like, where are you playing? So I think if you're Rodgers, like you can have this little, dance in the rain until about April 20th. And then you probably got to make a move because I don't think you can wait till after the draft. That becomes a very dangerous game of chicken.
A couple more quick ones for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joining us here on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Matt, the Cowboys, at least their front office, sure believe that they are close to a deal with Micah Parsons, but they believe that's the case without having talked to Parsons' agent, which is something that Parsons made a bit of a deal of on his social media earlier today. Is this kind of a negotiation going to work between Dallas and their star pass rusher, or is that a relationship that is maybe deteriorating a little bit in Dallas?
I feel like we do this every time the Cowboys have a meaningful player who's up for free agency or
right.
About to be. Like, we do the same thing every time. Jerry takes way too long to negotiate. The price goes through the roof. He then makes it sound like it's no big deal. Who cares? It's fine. Why is everybody asking me about this? And then he usually says something that everybody tries to parse for 5 days because nobody knows exactly what he means. And I don't mean this at all facetiously. I mean, I'm genuine about this. Jerry's also in his mid-80s. Like, I think there's some times where Jerry Jones is going to say some things that you just kind of look at him and go, what? Why would you say that? What are you doing? And I just mean that in the sense that I think there are times where he probably doesn't care as much about what he says compared to maybe an owner who's 30 years younger or a GM who in some cases are 50 years younger. Like I think Jerry's just going to say what's on his mind. And that's in one way kind of refreshing. And in another way, it's kind of surprising. You just don't hear people do that very often in the NFL. Look, I'm sure this is going to get done. I'm sure David Mulligetta, the agent here in question, is going to have a huge hand in it. He's one of the biggest agents in the league. But yeah, Jerry's going to sit here and probably wait. It's going to cost him more money, but in the end, he'll do what he normally does. He signs these guys. He always does. It just takes a while.
Last thing, Matt, and this is kind of a Chiefs question. The NFL also going to do a Christmas Day triple header this coming season. 3 games on Christmas Day, which is a Thursday this coming year. So my question to you, Matt, is this. Who are the Chiefs going to play on Christmas? And also, who are they going to play on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, they're in Dallas this year. So
there you go.
That's in play. I mean, I got to tell you, if they put the Chiefs on Christmas for a third straight year, there are going to be some people in Kansas City, some players in particular, who are not pleased. Not that the NFL cares, but they would not be pleased. I get it. Like, it's a TV bonanza because everybody's home. I'll tell you who's not thrilled about it. It's the NBA. The NBA is like, great, thanks, guys. Like, we're never going to get a rating now based off all this. But yeah, I mean, look, it's here to stay. They're getting huge money from Netflix. It's not going anywhere. They are going to play on Christmas Day every single time they possibly can.
You know who's really rooting for a third straight Chiefs Christmas Day game? Kansas City area marriage counselors.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, believe me, I'm based out of Chicago. I'm going to need one. Okay? Sitting there covering it all day long on Christmas with 2 kids under the age of 8.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated SI.com. Gracious to join us today. Usually joins us on Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, safe travels. Thanks so much for the time. We'll talk next week.
And thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned.
That is Matt Verderame, and that is how we lead things off on this edition of 580 Sports Talk today. That is not a joke about the marriage counselors thing. Like, I think I dread having to tell my wife, hey, the Chiefs are playing on Christmas Day again.
All right, I'm going to tell you something that I've been thinking about a lot today. This is mostly pertaining to one particular storyline that we just discussed with Matt, but committing to just always having Christmas games. I love the NFL. Like I was mowing the lawn, listening to a couple different NFL and NFL draft podcasts the other day. Like I spend a lot of my time on it. I care about it deeply, the Packers in particular, but the Chiefs and the rest of the league too. We're about at the saturation point for me. And like, I know you're a football fan, Dan, you like the NFL, but like that's where my obsession is.
Sure.
And we're like right there. And maybe that's partially because now, like, I wake up earlier and I have a kid to take to daycare. Or, like, I go home and, hey, instead of browsing NFL Reddit for 6 hours, maybe I'd like to, like, have a meal with my wife and my kid. Like, maybe it's a matter of perspective for me. But I thought about this today, reading 4 million different tweets and Blue Sky posts about the tush push. This is the most boring storyline that has gotten air in years. It's a play that happens 4 times a game that nets you 1 to 2 yards. Like, just ban it or don't and move on. Can we do anything else? Like, it's driving me nuts that this is the dominant storyline for the biggest sports league, at least in North America. Can we please figure something out and just move on to something more interesting? I feel like we're at a point where there's always a tipping point. And it's going to be an 18-game schedule soon. So that's going to mean 2 more weeks of football because they're going to add a second bye week, which they should. Like, that's not a bad thing in specifically, but generally speaking, okay, suddenly you're adding another half a month to your football watching year. Every holiday, there's going to be football. And the response is simply, well, don't watch it. Sure, that is absolutely an option. For us, when the Chiefs inevitably play on these holidays, it's not. No. But yes, that is an option. I don't want to skip it, but you're kind of pushing people toward like, hey, don't pay attention to this particular news because it's boring as hell. Don't watch this game because maybe you'd like to open presents with your kids on Christmas. Like it is, I do feel like the league's pushing us a little bit in that direction.
They're stepping on the dope. So it stretches further. It still gets us high, but it's not as good. It's not as potent.
And I feel like there have been moments in recent years where the NFL has actually kind of admitted mistakes. You know what's not in primetime anymore? The Combine. Remember when they tried that in primetime on ABC?
Yeah.
And then they're like, you know what? This actually sucks.
Yeah,
let's not do this.
Nobody's real big on this.
And they kicked it back to, 1 to 5 for 3 days on NFL Network. Like, yeah, okay, that was smart. That was good business. That was way too much overexposure. This feels like, hey, maybe rein it back in. Like Thursday, okay. They already do Thanksgiving Thursday. I at least kind of get it. Wednesday was the one that felt like it jumped the shark a little bit.
Yes.
And that next year when it's going to be Black Friday and then also Christmas Friday, like, okay. Wait 1 day. You're going to do Saturday games because college football is done for the regular season. Wait a day.
Yeah.
Also, like, I like when we have a full Sunday of games.
Yeah.
I don't like when there's like 4 games on Sunday. I like a full slate, but no one cares.
Yeah. I also like not feeling obligated to watch a football game. And
right.
I know the world's smallest violin. Oh, your job is to watch sports, tough life. Like, I get it. But at the same time, like, I would love it if the Chiefs were not scheduled on Christmas. I would be fabulous.
But like there is a point, and I think anyone can yes, we have a pretty fun job in that regard for that specific complaint. But like whatever you enjoy, if you're a fan of, I don't know, if you're a fan of NCIS, right? Wow, we're getting or the Big Bang Theory, like wow, an 8th spinoff of this show. That's a lot of Sheldon, man. Like, okay. This doesn't even have Mark Harmon anymore. What's going on?
Old Sheldon? Do we really need this?
Yeah, like you just gets to a point where like I like this. I like the characters. I like the thoughts. I like the product. But God, there is a lot of it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm right there with you. Thanks again to Matt Verderame for joining us. We have got a lot more to get to on this program. We don't usually hit the ground running with a guest like that. So thanks for hanging with us here on the program today. We want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429, and in the live chat on our YouTube channel, which, again, can be found 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. We're going to play a quick game of Random Question Tuesday, and then we're talking Royals baseball. How long do the Royals have to find their best 9? Because I think it's reasonable for a team to still be searching, but the Royals are looking in some interesting places to try and piece together what their best lineup is going to look like. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We got lots of KU stuff to get to in the 4 o'clock hour, including Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain. So stay with us. It's a jam-packed show. We're so glad you're with us. We're here until 6 today on 580 Sports Talk. .30 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting underway on this Tuesday. Thanks for being with us. We're going to play a quick game of Random Question Tuesday here, then we'll talk some Royals baseball. My random question today, currently on Capitol Hill, there is a senator from the state of New Jersey, Cory Booker, who is filibustering on the Senate floor. He has been speaking for 21 hours. What could you speak about for 21 consecutive hours? If you had to give a filibuster on the topic of your choosing, what could you filibuster about for 21 hours?
See, my initial thought is the fact that the 2020 NCAA tournament was canceled due to COVID, but I couldn't get to 21 hours because I'd start crying.
Well, maybe the crying, having to gather yourself, maybe that's part of the
You can
21
use
hours.
that to extend it out. Yeah, that's certainly possible. That would be a good one, though. I'm not going to lie. I would probably say that, or I would talk about my extensive collection of Metallica concert MP3s.
Okay. Must be very extensive.
Several hundred into 1,000.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I still listen to Metallica all the time. I saw them in concert this past summer. Still a huge fan. Have diversified my music tastes a little bit over time. But there was a period in time where I was bootlegging, I would say.
Sure.
I was persistently finding as many bootlegs as I could. I could run you through, Portland 1999 pretty easily. Everything from the Cunning Stunts album. Oh, yeah, I could do that.
Spencer Dupuy, what could you speak about for 21 hours?
That's a good question.
While you think of it real
probably
quick.
DC Sports.
From Joe on YouTube, the MLB blackout rule. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's a really good
Honestly, somebody needs to deliver a filibuster on the
Yes.
Senate floor, like for reals, about not just the Major League Baseball, but other sports blackout
Yeah.
rules. The fact that I am blacked out from watching Colorado teams
It's crazy.
in this state, not the Rockies. Unfortunately, I wish they would black me out of the Rockies. But I can't watch their NHL and NBA teams because of the blackout restrictions.
Yeah, it's
Like,
nuts.
They're costing themselves money because probably not anymore. I got too much to do.
Right.
That is not watch
Yeah.
regular season NBA and NHL. But they were costing themselves money for years because I would have gladly paid for League Pass or whatever it is.
Spencer, I cut you off. I apologize. I thought you were going to take longer to think about your answer.
No, I mean,
My
it's just
bad.
like I could go on about DC Sports for 20 hours.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see it.
I mean, I feel like that's a cop-out because we talk sports all the time, but, like, I could do it.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
I think I could go through – oh, I got it. The era of the Capitals that I grew up in.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
could, from, like, 07 until now, I could talk about every season.
Sports related, really easy. I would just rant and rave about why the Rockies are a failure of an organization and why I hate them so much, which is I love them so much is why I hate them so much.
Yeah, I get that.
And all of that. But for a non-sports topic for that I could talk about for 21 hours plus,
Mhm.
I could probably go on and on about
If
my dynasties on NCAA, that's still sports
still
related,
sports,
but
yeah.
NCAA football dynasties of the past.
Clerks and the impact it had on my life, the movie from 1994, significant. Let me tell you. I've got two questions. I'll only give one of them. I'll save the other for next week. A or B? Which should I do? A is food. B is music.
B.
Okay.
I was
Music
going to say
question.
A because you just talked about music.
Well, we're doing it again. We'll say food for next week. What is a band? I'm specifically looking for bands or groups, no individual artists. A band or group you used to hate, and why do you like them now?
Huh.
I forgot. That's a good one.
It's a lot
Thank you.
easier to think of bands that I used to like, and now I can't listen to this crap.
Yeah, right. and again, specifically bands, because I can be like, oh yeah, Sabrina Carpenter is annoying, and then I heard her song 8 million times. Now I can't ignore it, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. No, bands only.
Okay. There's a song I got really, really tired of when I was a kid. Like I thought it was annoying. I thought it was whiny. I did not think it was good. Now I wouldn't say like I'm a super fan of this band, but I have like gone to listen to them on purpose on Spotify. So like I guess I like them now.
Uh-huh.
Remember the song "Good" by Better Than Ezra?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Sure,
song.
my mom liked Better Than Ezra.
Yes,
a lot.
my parents also
Yeah.
really like Better Than Ezra, but I thought that was a super annoying song. Came out in like 1993, but it didn't get popular until later. I hated it. And now, like, if it comes on, it's good living with you. Yeah, I sing along.
Oh, that's a really
yeah.
good one.
I've done a U-turn on Better Than Ezra. Also, King of New Orleans, great song.
Spencer.
I used to not like Kings of Leon.
Okay.
And because when somebody used to be on the radio every 22 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But like now I find myself liking their music and specifically Use Somebody.
Their stuff from before they kind of blew up, I actually enjoy quite a bit. It was a little more rocky. That's a good one. Mine is pretty easily, and I think I've shared this before, Death Cab for Cutie for you emo boys out there, boys and girls. My sister listened to them a ton when I was a kid, and I was like, this sucks. And to be fair, the songs she likes, I still think kind of suck. But when I was in college, my senior year, I was working at the radio station, and I heard the song We Looked Like Giants. And I had recently been broken up with. I was with a girl for like 3 years. Then I heard that song. And I sat in the chair alone in the studio and went, oh, my God. And now that album, Transatlanticism, one of the more important albums in my entire life.
Yeah, you have to be in a certain place or at a certain point for an album to hit you the right way. An album that's like that for me, The Suburbs by Arcade Fire, won a Grammy, but I had no use for it in 2010. And now I even though Win Butler ended up being a total creep, I run The Suburbs back like once every 3 months.
Yeah. That's,
front to back.
That's how that one hits for me. 100%.
Christopher submits The Carpenters on the YouTube chat.
Nice.
Saying, when I was younger, I couldn't stand that whiny woman music, as I called it. When I came to appreciate their musical genius, I started enjoying it. Yeah, we all grow up. We all mature.
Sure.
Joe offers Alice in Chains. Did a deep dive on them and now enjoy them.
Oh man, I love Alice in Chains.
Man, I need to go. That might be what I listen to tomorrow at the office. Run some AIC.
Best unplugged album too.
We are Spencer. You got a question?
Yes, I do. What this hits home in the last 24 hours. What has social media ruined for you? I was on TikTok yesterday and I could not stop seeing. Somehow I enjoy the show, the 911 show. I don't know if it's because I was talking to you about it and it got in my TikTok algorithm, but this is around the time where shows are signing off for the year, filming their final episodes. There was a scene yesterday that was apparently filmed in downtown LA, and it was a funeral for somebody on 911. And now I'm just really irked that this person's not going to be on the show anymore.
For you.
Oh no!
And I hope it's like a fever dream thing. But like it was 7 or 8 different TikToks I saw yesterday about it. What has been ruined for you because of the internet?
Like a thing or like something that was spoiled?
Yes, spoiled.
Okay. Something that was spoiled on the internet. Honest to goodness, you cannot watch a sporting event now and also have the alerts come to your phone. Like, so I have the Apple Sports app. I think that's really useful, really, really quick and easy way, like to follow your teams. And while they're playing, their scores are on your like main screen. I really like that. Like, I'm not watching a lot of like regular season NHL or NBA, but it's really easy for me to touch the screen and see, oh, hey, the Nuggets are up by 10 in the second quarter. That's really, really handy for me. But I knew about Maikel Garcia's home run yesterday, like a solid minute before it happened.
Yeah, I can specifically point to Super Bowl 52 when the Eagles beat the Patriots because I did not realize how far behind. I think I had PlayStation View at the time, RIP. What a service. I did not realize how far behind real time it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw 80 tweets that said, oh my God, the Eagles did it. And I thought, wow, Tom Brady still has the ball.
Yeah.
There's time on the clock.
I also got the ending of Super Bowl 58 spoiled. That the Chiefs were going to win.
Yeah.
I was just idly flipping on it was Twitter then, and happened to see like ESPN posted the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, and I had to like hold my tongue for like 15 seconds because nobody else in the room knew. Yeah, social media has, and the delay on sports broadcast, they do it for gambling purposes broadly. It's not just a streaming delay; it is a delay for gambling purposes. So you can't be at home and be like, oh, I'm gonna bet on the next pitch, and so. That's why they do it, and it has made it very hard to follow a game and be on social media at the same time. Social media has ruined sports.
Yes, and a lot of ruined a lot of things. Also, the ending to The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31.
Oh,
I knew who was going to win, but I still wanted to watch to find out for sure, and I found out way ahead of time.
Stepping aside for a break. When we come back, the Royals, they play tonight. They've got another new configuration in their lineup. We'll talk a little bit about Matt Quatraro's lineup dealings through the first 4 games as we continue on 580 Sports Talk. Votes in both on the text line and the YouTube comments for bands that people hated and now liked. Votes in for the Moody Blues from Paul K.
Okay.
And from the 615 on the text line, the Cars. I was just thinking about the song Drive by the Cars earlier today. What a beautiful song.
Ha ha ha.
Love the Cars. That Moving in Stereo album is so good.
Henry Ford, direct quote.
That's not the name of the album. It's a self-titled album. It's the one Moving in Stereo is the first song. But the album, the album is self-titled. And then I think their best of is called Moving in Stereo.
Vance offers the Beatles on YouTube. I don't like the Beatles. I don't. It's one of those things that I appreciate what they did, but that doesn't mean I need to listen to them because I'm just not into it. Like, I don't outright hate some of their music except Eleanor Rigby. I do hate that song. Yeah, but I not for me. Not for me.
That's fine. I think they have some songs that are great and like genuinely understand why they're canonical, but it's not like, oh man, got a road trip. Throw on the White Album. Just let it ride.
All right. So this doesn't directly pertain to the question, but Cody on YouTube offers this. And thanks for joining us today, Cody. There are those that like Nickelback, and then there are those that are lying to themselves. I'm going to tell you something. Before they became a meme and Chad Kroeger became like, I will do anything for $1 guy and married Avril Lavigne, they had some hits.
Yes.
Silver Side Up is a legitimately good modern rock album.
It absolutely is. There is a reason that How You Remind Me is the last rock song to go to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
That song is legitimately
It is
so
an
good.
outstanding song. It still holds up to this day. Now, do I want to listen to all of Chad Kroeger's songs that came after that about having sex?
They're all about sex.
They're all about sex. Yes. Do I want to hear
innuendo.
that guy sing about that? Absolutely not. No, thank you.
Because I know he's singing about Avril Lavigne.
Yes. That makes it worse, much worse somehow.
But no, like, so they had some early stuff like 2003 and earlier that was legitimately like, whoa, this kind of kicks ass.
Jason, another great submission in the YouTube live chat. August and Everything After by the Counting Crows. Great album. Hated it when I was a kid because my parents spun the hell out of it. And Mr. Jones, oh my God, I hated Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones and me.
I hated that song. I hated it so much. But no,
like
man,
Adam Duritz' hair.
It's a really good album. Yeah, Adam Duritz ended up being like a normal kind of cool rock star.
Yeah.
And
not common.
Unbelievable line.
Yeah.
Particularly when you like see Adam Duritz.
You would never. The 90s were a wild time. YouTube offers My Maria by Brooks and Dunn.
Yeah, that song sucks.
What's your hatred for this song?
It sucks, Spencer.
I hear that song a lot when I'm getting ready for a Washburn game, because I got to go through the thing and put all my commercials in and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that song quite often. And I think of you everything and your hatred for it.
From the 785, Dan's parents sound chill with their music taste. They absolutely are. I had young parents. My parents had me in their early 20s, so I had young parents. So they were still listening to, like, when I was a kid, they were still listening to, like, adult, what was.
And Luther Vandross.
Yes. My dad loved Motown and loved Luther Vandross and also loved, like, classic rock, 70s classic rock. But, my mom would listen to, like, the modern rock and modern, what we'd play on the hot AC stations back then.
Sure.
So yeah, I did. I ran the gamut. That's why I like all kinds of music, except My Maria by Brooks and Dunn. That song blows. Absolutely sucks. Let's talk some baseball, shall we? Royals tonight, 6:40 first pitch.
Speaking of things that suck, Brewers pitching.
Yes. Yeah, very bad. Very, very bad. Give up an 11 spot.
I'm going to curse the Royals tonight. So my apologies in advance, Royals fans.
The entirely anonymous Chad Patrick is going to shut him out on 3 hits. Now
Who?
Yes, correct.
Yes. That's not a real guy. No way.
He's Irish, right? He's got to be Irish.
Gotta be.
Chad Patrick. Yeah, real person, apparently. Won the Pacific Coast League pitching Triple Crown last year.
Wow.
No, he didn't.
Nah, he really did. 6:40 first pitch tonight. That means pregame coverage from the Royals Baseball Network coming your way here on 580 WIBW at 6 o'clock tonight.
Actually, he's a D2 guy.
Oh, is he?
Purdue Northwest.
Oh, how about that?
In the GLIAC.
Yeah, I saw he was from Crown Point. So, yeah, he's a Hoosier.
Okay.
But, Anyhow, Royals going with this lineup tonight. Jonathan India in left, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, and that'll be an off day for Vinny. I'm not sure if they've mentioned whether it's injury related or it's just a scheduled off day early on for a guy still working through the hamstring injury. But that bumps Michael Massey up to the 3-hole at second base. Salvador Perez will stay cleanup and catch. Kevin Biggio will bat fifth and play first base. This is just Matt Quatraro splitting up the lefties and the righties again. Biggio fifth, Hunter Renfroe in right field sixth. MJ Melendez will DH, bat seventh. Michael Garcia back in the lineup at third, batting eighth, and then Kyle Isbell in center, batting ninth. So, obviously, you want to get to a point, if you're Matt Quatraro, where you're playing your best nine. And I think that there is an open question now still, and this is not, like, unique to the Royals, but the question is, what is the best nine for the Royals? I know who their four best guys are. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and Jonathan India. You talk about a professional hitter. Man, his at-bats look great.
Yep.
He gets ear-holed on Sunday and goes 3 for 5 on Monday. That's a pro. I'll take 9 Jonathan Indias. Here's the thing. Then I have to play them in the field. And I don't love what I've seen, to be frank, from Jonathan India at his new positions. I'm wondering if maybe they want to look at Michael Massey in left field and get India back at second base, which is the position he had played almost, I think, entirely exclusively in his big league career before these first 4 games this season. Even if you're downgrading defensively at second base, is it worth the trade-off if Massey's better in left field? It may depend on the pitcher. It may depend on a lot of factors. Maybe at the K, you want outfield with a little better range. India's range right now, I would not describe as particularly spectacular. He's had some very interesting routes to the baseball. He's a regular Magellan out there in left. So they got to find a home for him defensively, but he has to be in the lineup every day. Michael Massey, as a hitter, has to be in the lineup every day. So those guys have to play. Beyond that, like, it's obviously too early to say Michael Garcia has to be in the lineup every day because he's bashing. And it's also too early to say, on the flip side, send MJ Melendez down to AAA Omaha. He can't hit anymore. But that's going to be the question, I think, for Matt Quatraro is, who are the next 4 best guys? If Freddie Fermin is one of those, do you catch him and just DH Salvador Perez? Michael Garcia, can he handle center field? I don't know if he can. We've seen 9, or not even 9 big league innings because they moved him to second base at the end of yesterday's game. Does the patience offered by Mark Canha or Kevin Biggio make them worthy of a lineup spot, particularly against some tough right-handers? MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe can hit the ball over the fence. Can they make enough contact to out-hit their defensive issues? So I guess my broader question with this is, how long do you have to tinker if you're Matt Quatraro? How long do you have to move some pieces around and figure out, okay, these guys are going to be my best 9, and I got to play these guys every day if we're going to win enough games to win the Central?
I don't know that you have half the season to do it, but I actually kind of think the Royals do have a little time to do this. More than anything, they're a product of their environment. This division is butt. It is smelly, swampy, wearing chubbies when it's hot, but then it starts to rain, swampy butt. And I think that grants the Royals a little bit of time to figure it out. Thankfully, they have a good starting point. Like, if your top 5 is Witt, Vinny, Salvi, India, and even Massey, that's a better starting core than a lot of teams that are in the hunt for a playoff spot.
Those are all above average hitters. You've got lefties and righties. You got power. You got on base. You got some speed. Like that works. You can build a lineup from there.
And having that, I think, helps quite a bit. Like, Michael Massey's your 5th best hitter. I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. So I think the Royals give themselves a little bit of leeway with that. And the fact that the pitching is good, the defense is good, I think all of those other factors give this group a little bit of room to tinker. I don't know, maybe a full month is a little bit long, but I'd give it another 2-3 weeks before I feel like, okay, we've got to figure out the regular 9 here.
The other part that helps, too, is you're not worried about the leadoff spot. You know who that is going to be.
Thank goodness.
Got to figure out what position you want him in regularly or just hope that he eventually takes to left field. But Jonathan India is going to hit leadoff and probably do that about 155, 160 times. And that is A-OK by me. That dude has a professional at bat. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back, wrap up the 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. Couple stray Royals thoughts from the YouTube comments. Paul's in favor of Maikel Garcia batting ninth. Not a great hitter, but has some pop, good speed, can flip the lineup back over for India, Witt, and Vinny. I think the best version of Maikel Garcia does have some pop. The exit velocities are good. He's got to elevate the ball and hit the ball in the air more often. When he does that, you see the spurts of performance that he's had so far to start this season, and he had one last year too. Joe refers to Cavan Biggio as the rich man's Garrett Hampson, which is very funny. Not as fast as Hampy. Can't really play center field either, but he can get on base, and he's got that going for him. Hampson had a little trouble getting to first. Cody asked, last year's starting pitching covered a lot of the offensive flaws outside of the top four. Can the Royals make it to the trade deadline with a good enough record to make a push? This is the beauty of being in the American League Central. Ain't nobody running away with it.
Yeah.
So you've got some time to kind of see where you fit in the pecking order before you decide if you're J.J. Piccolo, what exactly you need and how far you're willing to go to acquire that player. Tyler suggests Vlad Guerrero Jr. at the trade deadline. Buddy, listen, I'd do the entire radio show shirtless if they traded for Vlad Guerrero Jr. at the trade deadline. 1,000%. Coming up, lots of KU talk in the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Tuesday afternoon, coming to you from on top of Huntoon Hill in the capital city on the sports voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. The channel is 580 Sports Talk. Why don't you go subscribe to the YouTube channel today if you have not? We would love to see that number go up. Go subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. 580 Sports Talk, and tell your friends to do it too. You can also watch us on Facebook if you'd like. WIBW News. Gang's all here on this Tuesday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Brendan Brzezinski, Spencer Dupuis. Coming up this hour on the program, we're going to talk KU basketball and the position they find themselves in entering an offseason of uncertainty, and a question that Spencer posed to the two of us off air that we're going to handle today. Also, we're going to see what Michael Swain thinks about what we're going to have to say, because he, of course, covers the Jayhawks for Fog.net, and he joins us every Tuesday on this program for Jayhawk Weekly. So we'll get Michael's thoughts at the bottom of this hour. Also, coming up this hour, our what is Marth? Stupid, lousy Marth weather. Our March championship on What Is Wrong With You. We didn't get around to doing it yesterday. The Royals game took forever, so we tabled our March championship of What Is Wrong With You until the first day of April. So stay tuned. We will have our championship matchup between the Double D drunk driver and I'm not going to pay a lot for these lap dances. Those are our two ongoing semifinal winners into the March championship on What Is Wrong With You. So we got some sports headlines to get to. We're going to talk about the biggest topic in baseball through about 1 week of action, bats, funny looking bats, because offense is up. And
baseball. Okay.
Baseball.
Okay.
And people are swinging those funny looking bats. So we're going to talk about those bats.
You know the thing about them? They work.
And
that's why this is interesting.
it's one of those things. Do they work because they work? Do they work because people think they work? Or do they work because pitching has been uniquely bad so far?
Apparently, Aaron Judge was using one in the playoffs last year.
He's not using one.
No, he
season.
he went on a whole thing about how he didn't want to use one.
Yeah.
Because he was good enough to not use one.
Maybe
it was like
wasn't
the
Aaron
cockiest
Judge.
thing he's ever said.
Maybe it was somebody on the Yankees. Maybe I misread that.
He's a Yankee, so he's inherently unlikable, but I actually think Aaron Judge is a pretty likable guy. Like, he's got a cool backstory. Seems like a very normal person.
Yeah, he put up unbelievable offensive numbers.
But he's a Yankee, so go to hell.
Yeah. Do it in a real ballpark. You play in a closet, Judge.
Do it when the calendar turns to October, you bum.
They get a hit when it matters.
Earn your pinstripe,
You're
bum.
no real Yankee. You're no true Yankee. Giancarlo Stanton hits them when they matter. He's a true Yankee.
Funny thing about that is I think Yankees fans hate Giancarlo Stanton.
Coming up next,
plays.
Coming up next on Boomer and Cartman and
Cartman.
I don't know.
Wait, it's Carton.
Yeah, Craig Carton, the felon.
Yeah, remember when he went to prison?
Yeah, he went to real prison
For what?
ticket fraud.
Ticket fraud scandal. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Bad guy.
Yeah.
He's doing a news show about problem gambling.
Oh, that's great.
Not for it, for the record.
Yeah.
Opposed.
He coming down on the taking the brave stance of being anti-problem gambling. Very brave of him.
Tyler on YouTube, short porch merchants. Yes.
Correct. Absolutely correct about the Yankees.
Dude, I watched opening day Brewers Yankees. I was in my hotel room in Evansville getting ready for the Washburn Final Four game. So I was watching it and I wanted to hear Buck call the game and all that. The first two home runs the Yankees hit, Buck even said one of them was a pop fly. When I hear pop fly, I think outfielders need to run in to get the ball.
Right. I think can of corn.
Right.
I watched. The game was on. I was at Kauffman Stadium for opening day. The game was on in the press box beforehand, and I missed. It was Austin Wells who led off the game with the home run. I missed the swing. I look up and he's rounding the bases. It's obviously a home run. And the on-screen graphic they throw up, now you can see the exit velocity of a home run. We know these things right away. Exit velocity and projected distance. And they show projected distance on that home run of 348 feet. You know what a 348-foot fly ball is in most places?
An out.
It's an out.
Yeah.
And they hit all the chintzy home runs, man. Like all of their home runs. You watch Yankees highlights now. Like Judge hit one on opening day. Not on opening day. It was a Saturday when they hit the 4 in a row or the 3 in a row on the first 3 pitches. Judge hit his to the damn moon. Like when he catches hold of one, because he is such a big man, they do stay hit. But man, those cheap, chintzy Yankee Stadium home runs, I hate them. I hate them with my whole life. Build a real ballpark. Babe Ruth has been dead for 100 years.
Move the fence back. It's doable. Baltimore and San Diego do it every 3 months. They move their fences. Come on.
Seriously. They built that short porch and because of Babe Ruth. And he's been dead since 1948, I think.
If you can't hit a home run at the Polo Grounds, it's not a real home run. I'm mostly joking.
Love doing home run derby on video games on the Polo Grounds because it's 250 to the corners and it's like 480 to straight center field. Just catch it out in front. Catch out
or be really late.
Or be really late. We'll get to some more baseball later on here on 580 Sports Talk. We want to hear from you throughout the show. Great interaction in the YouTube comments so far today. We appreciate everybody checking us out on the live YouTube stream. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the program. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. Did want to talk about this, though. We're going to discuss this at greater length with Michael Swain of Fog.net at the bottom of this hour. It's obviously been a difficult week for the Kansas men's basketball roster. Some of the transfer portal departures not entirely unexpected, and there are probably more to come that will not exactly fit in or not exactly be unexpected. Like when AJ Storr announces he's hitting the portal, probably after his last NIL check comes in, nobody is going to be shocked that ends up being the case. Rylan Griffin transferring, not a huge surprise. Ray Keys Passmore, and maybe a bit of a bummer. Same with David Coit, but again, not a big surprise. Flory Badunga was the one that caught everybody off guard.
Yep.
And made it feel like maybe something is not functioning as it should be if Kansas can't keep guys it wants to keep. Now, in that, we are assuming that Flory Badunga is a guy that Kansas wanted to keep. You would have certainly thought that to be the case, and the anticipation was that he would be back in Lawrence for his sophomore year. But if that's a guy KU wanted to keep and he is deciding to go somewhere else, that suggests that maybe things aren't working as they ought to, because for years and years, Kansas was a destination. That was a place you wanted to end up, not a place you wanted to leave after 1 year of getting a good deal of playing time with the promise of even more playing time as a sophomore. You leave Kansas. Kansas is Kansas. There's no place like Kansas. Ask the coach. So one thing that has happened throughout the college football or college, it's happening in college football too, but throughout the college basketball landscape recently, programs hiring general managers. Cincinnati just hired one. Utah has hired one this offseason to work with their new head coach. North Carolina, a blue blood like Kansas, not a fellow Big 12 school, but instructed because they are a blue blood program. They have seen fit to hire a general manager. KU need to do this. And need to is one part of the question here, because the other part of the question is, does Bill Self want this? Because if he doesn't, then the answer is no. It is his program. Travis Goff is not going to go over Bill Self's head and tell him what he needs to run his program.
It's one of the reasons they get along so well.
Yeah, exactly. Stays out of the way. But could Bill Self and this Kansas program benefit from somebody else whose responsibility is what we have come to understand, even though it's a fairly new role in college sports, the GM role to be, which is not just recruiting, but player retention, NIL work with the NIL collectives, those kinds of things, to get players to work the portal and to make sure the players you get stay happy, stay paid, and stay on campus. So that's the question. Is KU a program that could benefit from having an extra set of hands, an extra pair of eyes, however you want to describe a general manager role alongside Bill Self?
Yeah, I think so, because it's not that Bill Self can't do that stuff, because he's managing. Bill Self got Remy Martin Bill Self got Kevin McCullough. Bill Self got Malik Newman. Can you believe we're approaching like a decade since that team, by the way? It's been 7 years since March Malik, who, by the way, might be the best player of all time. Malik Newman in March of 2018 might be the best player ever. But, like, he can do those things. He can go out and recruit and find real gems. You know how I know? Because the guy who is going to be battling for being the number one pick in next year's NBA draft is coming to Lawrence in Darren Peterson, who looks like a legitimate star in the making, okay? He can do all of those things. But you have to do so much of it now. And, like, I think, you know, if Bill Self's got to talk revenue sharing with guys, I have no reason to believe he cannot do that. My point is more so just that there is so much that you have to do with that now. I mean, the game is professionalized. It is professional sports to a degree. In fact, it's almost beyond professional sports, because you know what you don't have in the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball? You don't have guaranteed annual free agency.
Yeah.
Which is another discussion that maybe we can get to when the season comes to an end and we've got some time in May to fill. But you just have to deal with so many things that even if Bill Self was the final stamp of approval, if he had veto power even, having somebody within the program, and maybe you don't call it a general manager, I don't know. I don't know what the specifics would look like, but just somebody who can deal with that stuff on the front lines, who can then bring it back to Bill Self and say, look, here's what we've got. I know you've been watching film on these guys. You're involved in the process. You've been watching the film, but you don't have to deal with the agents, you know, every single day. You don't have to be working the phones like a punch press. I do think that would make sense for this program. That being said, the second part of your question is probably what I should have answered first. It's not going to happen. Self has already kind of brushed off the idea of it because he was asked about it a couple weeks ago. I think even before the tournament started, maybe before the Big 12 tournament started, he was asked about that idea and we'll evaluate it and we'll talk about it. I don't know that we need it. You know, I kind of sounded like, no, that's not going to happen. The thing, and the reason why I don't think KU is in a position where it can really force Bill Self to do it, he's a Hall of Famer. And if you piss him off too much, you know what he's just going to do? Go move to that beautiful condo that he and his wife bought in Florida a couple years ago and be done with it. That's just what he's going to end up doing in wherever the heck it is, Sanibel or wherever it is. But you mentioned North Carolina. Here's the thing about North Carolina's coaching situation. They have a bad one. Hubert Davis is a bad coach at North. Maybe if he was still coaching a mid-major, it would work better. He's not an especially good coach.
No,
he's got a ton of leash because they keep squeaking into the tournament. But I don't think very highly of him in his current role. They need to have someone, and I bet you he probably felt, Hubert Davis did, like, oh, yeah, bring that guy in. Anything that's going to make me saving my job easier, let's do it. Look, I need help with this because I'm not Roy. I'm not Kay. I'm not Bill Self. Bill Self's kind of been the godfather for a long time.
He has.
And frankly, if it hadn't been at Kansas, he would have been that at Illinois because Illinois, I'm sure, would have loved to have kept him or actually, realistically, it would have been Missouri before they took Quinn Snyder, but that's a whole other timeline we don't have to get into. So that's, I think, the position we're in. Would I be upset? No, I think it'd be a good idea. Am I like completely infuriated because it's almost certainly not going to happen? No. But I do think, especially for a guy who he's older, Bill ain't young anymore.
Sure.
You think you'd just be, okay, that's one less thing you have. The day-to-day calling agents and parents. We call games. We call games for high school and college kids. We know parents get involved sometimes. And when you're a high-level recruit, it only gets worse. Like, just someone to handle the phones and a few more meetings, the shaking hands, kissing babies a little bit more often, I think would be helpful, frankly, for Self more than even the program itself.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a hard time seeing it happening, to kind of sum it all up.
So here's what I think: adding a general manager or having a general manager in your program, like the programs that we've talked about that have added them, you're addressing a problem of we're not getting good enough players. We're not getting enough value out of the transfer portal. We're not getting enough value when we recruit high school kids. We've got to get better. So having somebody who exclusively handles the NIL stuff when that's a big concern and you're trying to overhaul that or add to that in a major way, I do think that that is helpful for a head coach. Also, we've mentioned the three programs we brought up, and this is far from an incomplete list, but Cincinnati just hired one. This is like last chance saloon for Wes Miller. They don't want to fire him. They like him, but it's not working out like results wise for Wes Miller. Utah just hired a first-time head coach. North Carolina loves Hubert Davis. He's an alumni. Roy Williams loves him. Like, they don't want to fire Hubert Davis. But North Carolina basketball ain't North Carolina basketball right now. So they're looking for solutions to that problem. KU's problem is not we can't work the transfer portal. They're getting players out of the transfer portal. Some of them have even been very good, very useful.
Like, say what you will about Hunter Dickinson and the vibe and all that. Hunter Dickinson was an All-American this year, man. Like,
yes,
like that's everything else and the fit, maybe not
and that
clean, but like they're getting the guys.
They're getting high-profile guys. They're getting guys. They're winning recruiting battles in the portal and for high school recruits. It is not that they cannot get players.
Mm-hmm.
They are getting the wrong players. The pieces haven't fit. Kevin McCullough, who you brought up, was such a perfect fit for Kansas basketball culture and what Bill Self wants out of his players. He was a perfect, like an ideal Bill Self player.
Yeah.
AJ Storr, the polar opposite. AJ Storr was out there. Hey, he gets some buckets. He was really good in the Big Ten. Let's bring him in. Rylan Griffin, big-time shooter. Let's bring him in. Yeah. The problem is not getting the guys. The problem is getting the right guys. And I don't know that a general manager fixes that problem. That's a problem that starts with the man in the mirror. Bill Self has to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe I've gone a little too far in a pursuit of dudes here, that we've strayed a little bit from trying to find the kinds of players that fit who we are and what we do.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm right there with you. And I think that, and Self acknowledged that. I mean, we heard his post-game comments after the loss to Arkansas, and we've got to reevaluate how we do things out of the portal. That's a paraphrase, but the general point is there. I mean, if you're a player, you hear that and go, oh, okay, well, bleep me then, I guess. But yeah, like kind of, everybody knows that this hasn't worked out. Like if you're Rylan Griffin, everyone wanted that. I was so convinced that of all the guys that came in this year, that piece was going to put KU over the top. It just didn't work. Like sometimes it just doesn't work like that. Storr, and I admit I was part of this too, and I've already said this in past days, but probably got blinded by the star power a little bit.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude who can score like that? Oh, yeah. What do you mean he might not try? What do you mean by that? But no. He'll figure it out with
surely school number 7 in year 7 will be the one where he fits culturally perfectly.
So that last point I was going to make about Storr is actually, I think, the thing that every team probably needs to consider around the country, and I think especially KU. The guys you get out of the portal, unless you're getting guys who moved after maybe 1 year, like if it's, a freshman who moves and then you plan to have them for a couple of years, everybody makes plans, then God laughs, as we know. Okay, that's one thing. But if you're getting a guy who's been in college for a couple of years, you're getting the guy that has been in college a couple of years. And I think that is something, I hope KU has learned that, and I think a lot of programs around the country are learning, or at some point are going to have to learn that. When you get veterans from the portal, that is the guy you get. An example that ended up panning out for KU because it clicked at the right time, Remy Martin.
Yeah.
Remy Martin was gonna be Remy Martin, whether you liked it or not. But that's who he is. That's what he does. And at the exact right time, March 1 of 2022, he did just a little bit enough to tweak his game, accepted that sixth-man role. Bill Self was willing to let him play a little bit more freely when he got on the floor. Most outstanding player of the Midwest region, and was a major reason why KU won the national championship. Like, those are things that work.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Dickinson, good college basketball player in a vacuum, no doubt. But the guy you got, Hunter Dickinson, attitude and skill and leadership or lack thereof and all of that, as it was when you got him from Michigan, was always who he was going to be. And as fans, as media, as coaches, I think everyone has to kind of realize you're not changing those veterans. They are who they are. And AJ Storr, going to be who he is. Any guy they bring in this year, Keyshawn Hall, we'll bring up his name with Michael Swain here in a couple minutes. He has been at 3 schools in 3 years. He's transferring again. He averaged, 18.8 per game at UCF this past year. He probably played the 4. I know KU is hot and heavy after him, may not get him. He wants to be a little bit ball dominant down low. He's going to rebound. He's going to be a dog. There's also a reason he has been at 3 schools in 3 years and about to be 4-4. You have to accept, whether it's KU, Arkansas, wherever he goes, you are getting Keyshawn Hall, the guy who's been in college and at 3 different schools in 3 years. That's who you're getting. You're not changing him. How are you going to adapt to that? I think KU is in a spot where they've realized that. There are some murmurs about some local kids, like KC area kids, lower level prospects that KU is thinking about bringing into this current class and saying like, hey, let's get back to program guys a little bit. Jamar McDowell is one of those guys. Looks like El Marco is going to be one of those guys. Great. Let's try to have some sort of consistency, even if it's not our stars, so we have that culture in place. Your culture this year, in theory, nice with DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams, but those 2 guys were so limited in so many ways, and Hunter was your star. The culture was always going to be a bit of an issue. And again, that's easy to say with hindsight. So I'm hoping that even if they don't hire an outside source to kind of bring this all together and to take some of that off Bill Self's plate, I hope this year was a lesson in fit and that it's a lot easier to change an 18-year-old than it is a 21-year-old.
Alexander makes an interesting point in the YouTube comments. Welcome, Alexander. Says, thing about a GM for KU, I'm already hazy on what it is that some of the recent assistant/coach additions do already. Guys like Doc Sadler and Joe Dooley and Buford. Like,
great point.
They are great hangs, I'm sure, for Bill Self. And I think that is maybe the most important attribute that KU assistant coach can have.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there are a lot of programs, like that's something else we're hearing about more and more in programs is the idea of an offensive coordinator in basketball. Texas Tech went from one of the most slow-paced, plodding programs in the country, couldn't really score. They hired Jeff Linder, who had been a head coach and a successful one at Northern Colorado and Wyoming. He had some success relative to what those programs generally experience. He comes in to be Grant McCaslin's offensive coordinator, and that team is 3 minutes away from the Final Four and one of the better offensive teams in the country. Like, it is possible now to kind of value add a little bit with your assistant coaches. And I think that is a fair question to ask about KU staff. Like, what is the value add of a Joe Dooley? Like, what is his selling? What is Doc Sadler's selling point at this stage? Like, is Doc Sadler knocking them dead in living rooms? Like, what is?
No, it's a worthwhile question.
Yeah, what is the value add of those assistants?
One other quick thing here from Cody on the YouTube: does Bill Self retire if things go bumpy again this year? So this has been message board fodder where I have been hunkered down quite a bit over the last few days. This is clearly with all the new guys who are coming in, all the guys you're kicking out. Like, this is going to be load up for 1 year behind Darren Peterson. It's going to be the KU version of Paolo Banchero for Coach K. I don't necessarily believe that because, again, who did you want back? Like, Griffin was bad. Storr was bad. Coit was a chucker who's like 5'8" on a good day. Like, that. Who did you want to return from this group other than Flory, I guess? So, Cody, I think it's a totally fair question. I do think we are closer to the end with Self, and he's talked about that. Like, he wants to retire. He wants to be able to enjoy being retired and spending time with his family and his grandkids and all that, which is awesome. It's extremely admirable. He deserves that. So I think it's coming in the next couple of years. I would personally be shocked if it's after this season, regardless how it ends, unless it's like utter calamity, which I have a hard time seeing.
We are overdue for a break. We're going to take one here. Michael Swain will join us to talk more about this in just a little bit. But first, it's our What Is Wrong With You March Championship match coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. What is Wrong with You is brought to you by our guy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mowinkle, Mowinkle Insurance and Financial Services. Visit his website, Ryan Mowinkle, that's MOHWINKLE.com. It is our March championship. 2 stories have made it through the month of March. We didn't get to this yesterday, so that's why we pushed the March championship to April 1st. We have 2 stories. In one corner, we have the Double D drunk driver, 27-year-old Zachariah Vigil of LaPorte, Indiana, who got mega hammered at a Super Bowl party, like an alleged blood alcohol level of 0.273 mega hammered, and was driving to his girlfriend's house at 2 a.m. the morning following the Super Bowl and FaceTiming with his girlfriend, who took the occasion to show him what he had been missing and flash her bare breasts on the FaceTime. It so distracted the already impaired Vigil that he got his car stuck on a set of railroad tracks. Vigil made it out safely.
Is that code?
No, that is absolutely not innuendo in any way. Not even a single entendre. Vigil made it out of the car, but the car was destroyed, left on the railroad tracks. That is our first contestant, the Double D drunk driver. The other corner, 39-year-old John Elberson of Clearwater, Florida, who went to a strip club, got some lap dances, and then told the proprietors do not have the funds to pay for that. He was charged with misdemeanor theft and arrested.
I wasn't here when you guys did this story, and I've never been to an establishment like this, so I don't know. They don't make you pay up front?
That was our topic of conversation because neither of us have been there either.
That I'm hung up on. I've never been to a strip club. And my understanding is that's the kind of thing you pay for up front.
That's what I always assumed.
I would assume those kinds of services rendered would be the kinds of services you would need to come up off that money for right up front.
Yeah, man.
It's just like pay-per-view, right? Like wrestling.
In many ways, yes.
Yeah, that's what gets me here. That seems like a business lapse by this particular club.
Yeah.
Rain, ladies and gents.
Yeah,
I want that money up front, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how you can sit at a strip club and say, yeah, just put those on my tab.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah, that maybe Rain, ladies and gents is a What Is Wrong With You contestant.
Yeah, they might be.
All right, we got 2 stories. Gentlemen, what are your votes?
I'm going to go with the Double D drunk driver.
Yeah, I'm as well.
It can wait, brother. I promise it'll be much better in person when you get there. Much, much better.
Drunk and FaceTiming your naked girlfriend is no way to drive, sir.
And he lost his car because of it.
Yeah, man. He got stuck on the train tracks. It's absolute maroon. Like, yeah, just wait. Like, just wait for it. I promise the getting will still be good by the time you get there.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in a town as small as LaPorte.
No kidding. Yeah, trust me.
So the Double D drunk driver is our March champion on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by Ryan Mowinkle. Our guy Mo, find his website, ryanmowinkle.com. See what Mowinkle Insurance and Financial Services can do for you. Michael Swain of fog.net joins us next here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain, who covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Become a VIP member over at 24/7 Sports to get access to all of Michael's reporting about the Jayhawks. And you're going to want the insider info as transfer portal season and spring football coincide here. Again, that is Fog.net. Michael joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. And Michael, we'll put the big question of the hour we were discussing earlier to you. It's probably a moot point because it's hard to imagine that Bill Self would sign off on a program general manager at Kansas. But given what we know about the concept of general managers in college basketball, would that be a thing that KU could benefit from, do you think?
Shoot, I think it's a thing every college basketball program could benefit from, honestly. Like, let's frame it like this. Look at Kansas football. They just had one of their biggest transfer portal classes under Lance Leipold, right? They had over 20 transfers. That's a lot of work. And the transfer portal for football is different, obviously. There are a lot more names and technically a lot more options. The basketball transfer portal is hard because, yeah, sure, there are a lot of names, but there are a lot of names going in that aren't very good. And when you're a program like Kansas and you are at the highest level of college basketball and trying to win at the highest level of college basketball, those players that can impact you from the transfer portal, it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things. And KU football was very, very well organized, methodical, and they went about the transfer portal in, I think, a really efficient manner. And there was reason why they were able to get so many of those needs filled in the right amount of time. And some of that, I think, honestly, probably more than people understand, the credit goes to Rob Ianello, the general manager, for organizing who is KU going to set up visits with, who is going to go in the portal that KU could be interested in, and can they get the agent on the phone to maybe have something set up when the guy does go in the portal. So, like, there are all sorts of things that a general manager can do to help you with, and I think it's something that every college basketball program needs. Yes, KU specifically, of course, we can talk about specifics here. You know, can you have a general manager that can help you scout some of these guys or have an idea of, hey, you know, this kid's tearing it up in the Summit League. Does he fit at Kansas, right? Having someone that can help you with that aspect. So when that kid does hit the portal, you already have your evaluation on him. And if you like him, maybe you've already contacted the agent and said, hey, just so you know, if this kid goes in the portal, we'd be interested. So let us know what you think. That type of person, I think, is really important. And I think you're seeing it right now. I think some degree you're seeing it with the current or a former KU player, Floyd Badunga, right? Auburn is going to probably get him. And a part of that is because of work that was done over the last couple months. So I think having someone that can help you get ahead of the curve is really important. I think it's something that Kansas, I think it's something that every college basketball program should really look into getting. And college basketball is very, very behind college football in this regard. And I think this past transfer portal cycle for the football program, I think can just show the value of a general manager and empowering that person to not necessarily make big decisions, but to create organizational flow so that when this crazy time of year comes, you've got a process you can really lean on.
How stunned are you or were you by the decision of Floyd Badunga to enter the transfer portal? Or is this one of those things now with the benefit of a couple of days where you can look at it and say, well, hindsight being 2020, you could see that maybe this was a possibility?
I'm still pretty surprised, honestly. You know, I can explain why and I can explain how. But I think to me, right, it is just another symbol of how things have changed. Because at Kansas, for how long has it been that if you come in and you know you play as a freshman a little bit, and then if you're productive, right, you take a big jump as a sophomore. How many times have we seen this? And it seemed like Flory was going to be on track for that. You know, he played the most minutes of any freshman big man under Self since Cliff Alexander, right? He was ahead of the curve considering what I think a lot of people expected going into the year. And when you projected forward, right, you said, okay, hey, next year, Darren Peterson point guard, and you've got Flory as your starting center. Now, KU would have had to go out and get a backup five in the portal, and that maybe would have proven to be tough when you're saying, hey, a McDonald's All-American potential first-round NBA draft pick is going to go and be the starter. But still, it was a player that I think you were penciling in as saying, yeah, this guy's a starter, and he's going to play at least 25 minutes a game. So from that perspective, right, it's kind of like, man, that part is a surprise. Now, when you start hearing some of the numbers and the way this has gone down, like, I'm not terribly surprised. Flory's first recruitment came somewhat down to money, right? It was one of those where for a while it was Duke, and then the week of the announcement, it was Auburn, and then a couple hours before the announcement, it was Kansas. So to some degree, there have been signs here that, yeah, the financial part of it is important. And so I think if he does end up at Auburn, like I think some people expect, he will be very, very well compensated. And that is great for him, because I will always say this, and I've said this to you guys before. For college players, you do not know how much time you can make money off your ability to play a sport. I will never blame a kid for going and trying to maximize that financial ability. So for Flory, it seems like he's going to go do it. Honestly, you can say best of luck to him. I think you could also say on the same hand, it's a bummer for, I think, the stories of college basketball, where kids staying at a school for multiple years and really developing. It just seems like that's falling to the wayside. And as someone that enjoys that storytelling aspect of this job and of the sport, I think that's a bummer.
Michael Swain is our guest. He covers all things Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net and 24/7 Sports. Make sure you're a VIP over at 24/7 and Fog.net so you can get all the best insight into what's going on with the portal, football, basketball, and everything in between. Michael joins us every Tuesday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Michael, do you feel, and Flory is obviously a big deal and has been stunning to a lot of people, you mentioned yourself included, but do you feel like this departure, this exodus of KU players is especially bad at KU, or is it just headlined by a big name player and it's the same deal that everybody is dealing with? Arizona possibly losing Visar, that's a big deal. RJ Lewis was the Big East Player of the Year at St. John's and is now in the transfer portal planning to leave St. John's. Like, to me, this is just happening everywhere. I think KU fans are just getting a taste of, oh, shoot, this is happening to our good players as well. Mm-hmm. So do you think this is especially rough at KU, or do we just feel it more because it's happening locally?
Yeah, I think it's very much just the KU fans are seeing what is happening elsewhere. Sometimes it's the school telling kids they can't come back. Sometimes it's the kids telling the schools they're not coming back. You can just go 4 hours north. Iowa State just had one of its best seasons in program history, and they've run off a couple starters. It's just the fact of the matter. It's happening everywhere, where I think whether it be because of asking prices, whether it be because of transfer evaluations in the past not working, like this stuff is just happening everywhere. There is just player movement upon player movement. And you're right, there is no better example than the Big East Player of the Year, who if he stayed at St. John's would have been a top 10, maybe even top 5 preseason team next year. You have been talked about as a preseason All-American, preseason Player of the Year, all that stuff. He's moving because he can go get a huge bag from someone else. And it's just the nature of the beast. There's player movement. It's kind of like, to some degree, I think you see it a lot maybe with more corporate jobs, right, where sometimes you hit the ceiling of where you can make at a certain company. So what do? You move companies. And I think you see that a lot, right, in corporate structures where you move around to really maximize your pay. And that's what's happening in college sports right now. Guys are moving because they can get more money elsewhere, and people do not want to take pay cuts. And it's just a part of it now. And I think the ability for certain coaches to adapt is what determines who is making it to the Final Four and who is making it far in the NCAA tournament and who's flaming out early. And you can't say that KU has excelled over the last 2 years of recruiting the portal and developing a roster. So we've talked about it plenty, right, why some of those things have happened. But the fact of the matter right now is that KU has not done a fantastic job of those two things. And so this offseason gives them the chance to really correct things, because there is not the certain roster limitations that I think KU has had over the last couple of years, and they've got a fresh slate. So there's a lot of movement going on across college basketball. It's really fascinating to try and see how some of these schools are going to maneuver it, because there's so much player movement. The asking prices are huge. They're bigger than they've ever been before, and they're honestly probably bigger than they'll ever be, because after this year, once you get to July 1st, everything from here on out is going to be under rev share, and you've got to clear it through Deloitte and all of that. And that's going to mean that the prices are going to be probably a little bit more stagnant, because the NIL money is not going to be there just to go throw money at players for pay to play. So really long answer there. I rambled a little bit, but I think this is just something that there's so much that's kind of nuanced together.
If you want in-depth player breakdowns, again, go be a VIP over at 247andfog.net. Michael's got all sorts of great stuff up there. The boards, they're a wild place. Someone told me that nobody knows who I am earlier today. They deleted their comment. It's fine. But I did want to ask, Michael, if you can kind of skim off the top of the list, who are a couple guys, what are a couple names that KU fans should be aware of during this wave of the portal process who are or may be major targets for Self and KU?
Yeah, I think we would probably start with Keyshawn Hall from UCF, someone that I think you look at what he could bring to KU. He's kind of Jalen Wilson-like in terms of just the overall profile of player. Maybe not as good of a passer creator as Jalen Wilson was, but definitely much more of an elite, get to the free throw line, get to the rim type of player. He's already had a Zoom with KU. This is one that I think everyone in college basketball knew he was going in the portal. So I think Arkansas is going to be another one to watch for him, but I think KU's definitely in there. Josh Dix still remains on the board, but it seems like Illinois might win out there. I always struggle to say certainly, right, that someone's going to go somewhere because for all we know, Bill Self could call and up an offer, and all of a sudden Josh Dix is head to Lawrence. So there's some things there that maybe could change, but right now the latest intel is that he will go to likely Illinois, potentially maybe Indiana. We'll have to see, but I think Illinois there. Those are the two, and then really, like, you can look at the kid from Sam Houston State, Wilkerson, someone KU's already done a Zoom with. He's kind of a 6'4" combo guard. I think he could fit alongside Darren Peterson. I do have a couple of concerns. I still got to take a deeper dive into him, but I've got a couple of concerns defensively and how he fit, but that's one. And then look, the center spot's really, really important. There's more centers going in. I think there's kind of one guy KU's looking at. I posted that one on the board already. But there's so much, guys. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and there's just so many names going on out there, and stuff changes by the hour. So those are a couple that just really kind of roll off the top of my head right now.
What is the point? Is there a point at this juncture, Michael, in trying to add program guys, maybe local, lesser recruited guys? Is there a reason? Is there a good reason to try to bring some guys like that in to establish culture, to, just have some good practice bodies, maybe they develop into something? Is it worth spending time and other resources on players like that, knowing they can up and leave at any point? I think if you couldn't just transfer freely every year, get that all, constant free agency, I think there would be. But knowing guys can leave to find playing time elsewhere, I'm just not personally sure if it makes sense to spend a lot of time on those guys.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a broader roster building conversation we could have today or later. Basically, I think there's going to be two ways that a school like KU is going to build kind of the high school class every year. So I think you're going to see KU continue to go after probably two top 25, two top 30 kids a year, right? For this year, it was Darren Peterson and Bryson Tiller. Now, obviously, Bryson Tiller, enrolled mid-year and all that stuff, but those are the two. And then outside of that, I think you're going to see KU just kind of take flyers, and Smeeze Calderon could be that, but I think there's going to be a market for really cheap players who are very happy to be at Kansas and to work their butt off to try and, as maybe a junior, senior, give you 10 minutes a game off the bench. And so I think if you can look locally, if you can add someone who is going to come in and redshirt and then play for, who is cheap, who you are not going to have to put a lot of your revenue sharing salary cap, for lack of a better term, because that's what it is. KU knows right now how much they're going to spend on the men's basketball roster with revenue sharing. That is their salary cap. If you can fill a roster spot with the guy that's going to work hard, that can help you out in practice, and maybe a couple years down the road wants to stick around because he likes it at KU, maybe from the area, willing to stick it out, I think that's the type of guy that makes a lot of sense, because it's not a situation like a Rakeese Passmore where the kid's got talent, he wants to go play. And I think if we're talking 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, he's the type of guy that isn't going to play as a freshman, plays 15, 20 minutes a game as a sophomore, and then as a junior plays 35 minutes a game and is an all-conference player. That type of trajectory is not going to happen at KU because they're going to continue to recruit the portal, and that player is going to want to go play. So someone like Rakeese is saying, all right, hey, guys, I don't want to sit on the bench for another year. I want to go play somewhere. And so I think you got to find guys that are maybe more willing to just be in the environment, practice, really compete, And maybe in the back of that player's head, they're thinking, hey, maybe he's a junior, senior. Hey, can I just get off the bench a little bit? And I think there's going to be a big market for a player like that at a school like Kansas, where the top 7 or 8 players on your roster are going to be really expensive. Well, how do you maximize the talent at the top end of your roster? You minimize the cost at the back end of your roster. And so I think that's a way that managing kind of a salary cap could be a way for KU to go about things down the road.
Outstanding stuff as always from Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joining us as he does every Tuesday for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Talk to you then.
That is Michael Swain. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up the hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Our thanks again to Michael Swain of Fog.net for joining us. Got some good comments, questions in the comments during that we're going to get to in the next hour on the show. We'll also have our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll talk some baseball, set the table for the Royals tonight. 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame from Milwaukee on the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW. That's all on the final hour of the program, which is coming up right after this break in the national and local news here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, third and final hour of this Tuesday afternoon, taking you right up to Royals baseball at 6 o'clock this evening. Pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network. First pitch from American Family Field in Milwaukee at 6:40 as the Royals go for a series win over the Brewers, having won yesterday 11-1. Look to secure the series behind Michael Lorenzen, making his first start of the season on the mound. Again, pregame coverage 6 o'clock, and the first pitch at 6:30 on the Royals Baseball Network, right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. This show streaming live on our YouTube channel, not the Royals. We can't do that. We would very quickly be DMCA'd if we tried that. But you can stream the show, 580 Sports Talk, on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel. How convenient is that? How easy to find. You can also find us on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis with you this afternoon for one more hour.
We do know where you can stream something east of where we are.
For television purposes, yes. But I don't know anything about that. Maybe some other people do, but I certainly would not tell anybody to illegally stream a sporting event. I think it's very important you give Rob Manfred your money. Hugely important, in fact.
Yeah. Wish you didn't have to.
Hey, shout out to T-Mobile. Free MLB TV.
Yeah, that was the worst part about my family switching from T-Mobile last year.
That hits hard every week before the regular season. Man, my dad and my brother used to have to leech off of my account that I was paying for every year, and now we all get our own. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. Shout out to T-Mobile. Anyway, this is not an ad. We got one more hour, 580 Sports Talk. We're going to talk some baseball. We'll preview tonight's Royals and Brewers game and also talk about the latest sensation that's sweeping the baseball nation, Torpedo bats. They look stupid, but the results so far have been anything but. And some interesting thoughts from a friend of the program, RJ Anderson, at CBS Sports. He has a piece on it, cbssports.com, and some interesting quotes from league sources about the bats. And we'll get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines, too. I did want to get to a couple of other things. Once again, our thanks to Michael Swain, Fog.net, for dropping in, talking Jayhawks with us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. If you missed that, if you're watching the video stream, just rewind. You can just do that, or you can catch it archived on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. If you want to listen to the audio version and catch up with any part of the show you have missed ever in your life, go to our website, 580WIBW.com, find the podcast page, click on the podcast tab, and it'll take you to us. Or you can find us on Spotify, because you search 580 Sports Talk on Spotify, and that's us. There's no other 580 Sports Talks out there. It's just us. So search for 580 Sports Talk on Spotify and find hour-by-hour breakdowns of the show every single day. Rate us and review us over on Spotify if you do, in fact, listen to the podcast version. Give us 5 stars. We would surely appreciate that.
I would.
But during the conversation, some interesting comments and a question I thought was a good question that I wanted to get to. This actually comes from us to us from Facebook watcher Craig, who asked, if Kansas did get a general manager for basketball, what would work best? A former player, a former coach, somebody with business connections? And it's interesting because this is such a new concept broadly that there's not a blueprint that everybody's following. There have been some programs that have just brought in alumni. Like Steph Curry is the assistant general manager for Davidson. He's an active NBA player, but he's working with his alma mater. I think there's another one recently. I think it's Trae Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, he donated $2 million or something.
So that's what those are, I think. And now, depending on, like, for Davidson, I bet it's really effective. Oklahoma, not really a basketball powerhouse, so probably still has some pull. I think essentially, like, Steph Curry gave a big time donation. They gave him a title, and occasionally, like, hey, we really want to land this kid. Can you call him? Like, I kind of think that's what Steph and Trae Young are doing.
It's that kind of connection.
So if you're Kansas, I don't think, like, hey, Joel, you want to be our assistant GM, Bill Self's, like, lead front office assistant, make a donation, and then call some guys. I don't think that really works because KU is battling against North Carolina and Duke and Kentucky and UCLA and whoever else for players. I don't know that has that kind of pull because all those schools can do that. But again, Davidson, like when you're battling against Richmond for players, you get a call from Steph Curry and you think, oh, shoot, yeah, I'm going to Davidson. Hell yeah, that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I would assume that's a bit of a difference there. On the football side of things, and Michael really, I think, did a really good job in that last segment, and I recommend everyone go check it out or go check it out on the podcast, about how things are different between football and basketball when it comes to the portal, even recruiting, all of those sorts of things. But in football, KU's general manager is a former assistant coach, Rob Ianello, who worked, funny enough, under that idiot, Charlie Weiss. That could have been anybody.
That does not narrow it down. We're talking about former Kansas football coaches in the last 15 years.
No, that truly could have been absolutely anybody. Previously,
the dunce who couldn't win any games. Nap need more than that.
No, the guy who couldn't remember anything. Well, Scott Aligo, who came in early on with Leipold, and I don't remember what exactly his title was. It wasn't general manager, but he was the transfer portal guru. He has since taken a similar job at Coastal Carolina just earlier on this calendar year. He was also a coach. He was, in fact, in 2010, you know where he was the defensive backs coach? Washburn. Yeah. Little note about Scott Aligo. So he came from the coaching world as well. I think somebody who's got some coaching chops so they can talk a little X's and O's, but also has probably some NBA experience, either as a player or as an assistant. Like NBA assistant coach would, I think, be a really good way to go because you're dealing with professional stuff a little bit more. You've been around pros. You've been through the college ranks before, either as a player or as a coach. That's probably the area I would target. If you could get somebody with a decent amount of experience, but maybe not too far out of the game, who's been involved at the NBA level, I think would be an interesting way to go. You know, the interesting thing about that is Chase Buford, who's already on staff. I don't know that he'd be good at the job, but that's probably the kind of guy you're looking for. R.C. Buford's kids, obviously have the connection with Self there, but he hung around in the NBA. He was a coach in Australia for a little bit. Somebody of that ilk, I think, would make the most sense to me.
We have a couple of different folks. We have a text from 785. You can text the program, 785-272-9429.
You got there eventually.
I did. I was looking at that number, and I almost read the texter's phone number.
Yes, always a concern.
Yeah, that's always a concern. 785-272-9429 is the text line. Texter suggests bring in somebody like Scott Pollard or Jared Hayes, or the Tyler in the YouTube comments suggested somebody like Mario Chalmers or Paul Pierce or Sasha Khan. Certainly, like,
there's some players who would love what Paul Pierce could offer.
Yes. Paul Pierce, unencumbered by, like, I don't know, having to do anything at the house. Just interrupt his string of grim men's evenings to go put on for Jayhawk basketball.
No, I could see that. You know, I'd probably take Scott. I love Scott Pollard. I'd probably take him out because I don't know, like, if his health situation would allow for a higher stress job like that.
Like Jared Hayes, that would make some sense.
That one is interesting to me. That's a good name. But out of the coaching game, don't know what his future in the coaching game looks like, but has been around it. Obviously, you know, we've been around smart people for a long time. When he was out at Stanford, he's got some media experience now with ESPN. That's an interesting one. I would put that as certifiably interesting. To get ahead of things, do not mention Mark Turgeon's name. No. If you were thinking about that name, no. Okay, moving on.
I don't think it could be like, I don't think you're going to get a lot of like dyed-in-the-wool coaching veterans, guys.
No.
And this is not me being ageist. I don't want anybody to think, but like of that generation of coaches, I don't necessarily think that's where you're going to find a lot of the general manager hires have been of younger generations.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, somebody in there, I'd say like mid 30s to early 50s.
Yeah, I think you can. There's a sweet spot of guys you can go find. I do think some sort of NBA tie would be a positive. I think that at the very least you know how to deal with pro things, which is what college basketball is now, for better or for worse.
So the guy that Cincinnati just hired as their GM, Corey Evans, he had been an amateur evaluation scout for the Oklahoma City Thunder. since 2021. Prior to that, he worked for Rivals. So, like, he's got a background in scouting. He's got a background in the NBA. He's got a background of evaluating younger talent for Rivals, presumably. So that's the kind of hire that Cincinnati made with their general manager. I think that was earlier this week.
Yeah, an example, by the way, sorry to jump in real quick. I remember it was a big deal. Vanderbilt for football, not basketball, but football. They hired in 2021, when their most recent staff came in, Barton Simmons, who had been at 24/7. He was the head of their rankings.
Right.
He was podcasting with Chip Patterson and Tom Fernelli, and Vanderbilt said, hey, would you like to be our general manager? Like, I think that's an interesting area to go after as well.
Yeah. The Utah general manager, Wes Wilcox, has been an NBA general manager.
Yes.
He was in the NBA for 20 years. He was the GM for the Hawks for a couple of years. He had previously, most recently, I should say, been the assistant general manager of the Kings. So,
did he go to Utah? The Utah alumnus?
I don't know if he is or not.
I see he's from California originally.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything's listed here as far as his where he went to school.
Although, what would make more sense other than that is his connection with Alex Jensen, who's the new head coach, who did go to Utah as part of their best team ever.
Another texter from 785 throws out these two names. One is Tad Boyle, who I don't think is going anywhere at Colorado anytime soon. I think
not the way they ended the year.
No,
like, why would you mention those names? I don't.
Right. Tad Boyle went to Kansas.
Yes, but I'm saying he's currently a head coach.
Yeah, he's currently a head coach. There is, I think, a school of thought that he may not be a head coach much longer because Colorado was stinky butt this season. But
they played a lot better at the end of the year.
They did. And Colorado, I think, knows, like, Tad Boyle is as good a coach as they're ever going to have. I think he can be the head coach there as long as he wants to. Another name that texter threw out was Danny Manning. And I think that is interesting because he's got the head coaching experience. He's got some of the assistant coaching experience. He's done some recruiting. He's done some, like, individualized coaching type stuff. I don't know how much administrative stuff he's done, but obviously that's a name that rings out in Lawrence and with Kansas basketball.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'd file that one away as probably not top of the list, but I'd file that one away as interesting.
Yeah, I think I would too. Anyhow, let's get into our 580 Sports Talk headlines here. Again, we appreciate the questions, the interaction on the text line and in the YouTube comments and on the Facebook comments as well.
Love this one from Tyler on YouTube. If only they could find someone as dedicated to high school sports as Pistol. Yeah, that's how you build the local bonds.
Amen.
Love that idea.
Amen to that.
Think Pistol would do it?
Probably not. Probably not.
I'd put that at less than 0%. We'll ask him. We'll ask him on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. Our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Let's get to all the NFL rules. We'll just throw these in one big melange here of the NFL rules updates for 2025. We talked about these with Matt Verderame.
Say melange or menage?
I said melange.
Oh, okay.
Trust me. I know what I said. You said the other thing.
I just clarifying.
Rules updates for 2025 from the NFL. First things first. The chain gang's out. Hawkeye technology is in for first down ruling. Again, something bad happened to Josh Allen, so the NFL changed the rule to benefit him.
So they've had the chips in the balls for years, and every year there's some sort of officiating controversy. Some reporter posted on Twitter. I think it's always Tom Pelissero, and then the world goes, "What? What do you mean there's chips in the balls?" And then they say, yeah, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it, whatever. So I believe the chain gang is not going to go anywhere, but they're just going to be the backups.
Yes, they'll still be there. They're going to be the fail-safe.
Easiest job ever.
For now. You don't have to go out to the field. Just go down the sideline, up and down, up and down, up and down. That's your whole job now. The Hawkeye technology will determine, are they going to throw it up all dramatically on the Jumbotron and on the TV like they do with the Hawkeye technology in, like, tennis matches?
Tennis, yeah.
Did you see?
Because I'm kind of into that idea, like zooming in on the football and then seeing how much of it is across the line to gain, or the end line. Yeah, man, I'm kind of into like that level of drama.
Did you see how they did it in the UFL this past weekend?
Brother, I have not watched one single solitary second of UFL football in my life.
Look, Matt Derrick posted it on the X, the Everything platform. And it's basically like it was an animated graphic
Yeah, that would be just like the how they do the Hawkeye technology for how they were doing it for baseball during spring training, up on the scoreboards of spring training. So, yeah, I guess there'll be just a different kind of a dramatic look to first down measurements. Also, rule change. The NFL owners have passed a rule change that will allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season. This has been the rule in the postseason. Again, a rule that got changed because people were unfair to Josh Allen. And now it's going to be the regular season rule, but the overtime period will remain just 10 minutes. I hope you guys like ties, because I think we're going to get a lot of ties with this.
Yeah.
Like more ties than we ever got before. Which ties are un-American. I understand people's feelings on that. But we're going to get a lot more of them, I think, because of this.
I have no problem with ties, personally. I know I'm in the minority.
I don't
have
either.
No problem with ties.
Honest to God, I would rather have baseball play 10-inning real baseball games and then end in ties rather than the California tiebreaker. The stupid Manfred man.
Yeah, don't even. I'd rather they do it in college football than do the pinball shootout at the end of the game as well. Yeah. I think if you do this, you have to extend it back to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I know that they keep it at 10 to try to mitigate running into the late game window as much as possible. I know that's the real reason. They'll say it's for safety. No, it's to try to not have overlap in the early game and late game windows on Sundays. That's truly the explanation why. Or on a holiday, so the first Thanksgiving Day game doesn't bleed into the second one. I think you need to extend it to 15 minutes if you're going to do this.
I do too.
Now, who is going to be the first coach? It's Jim Harbaugh, who goes to overtime, gets the ball first, and tries to run
all 10 minutes?
9.5-minute drive.
Yeah, definitely Harbaugh. Just not going to let you touch the ball, and if you get it, it's going to be for 45 seconds.
Although that being said, I guess that's a dumb comment, because we almost ran into that in Super Bowl 58, right? Because the Chiefs scored with 30 seconds left.
Yes, but there's no ties in the playoffs.
True. No, that's fair. I wonder if functionally, if the first team scores, if they just turn off the game clock. I don't know if they literally
hate that.
I don't know if they literally
I think they're just going to play a 10-minute period and until there's a winner or not a winner.
Yeah.
I think it should be 10 minutes of football.
Like, if that's the way they do it, is that all you're guaranteed is you get first down, essentially, and nothing else is guaranteed for each team, then yes, Jim Harbaugh will try to run a 9.5-minute drive.
Hell yeah. And they should. And then, break overtime.
Yeah.
Just come out, run the flex bone.
Yeah. No, he'll do it.
Snap the ball with one on the play. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Freaking 20-yard field goal with like 7 seconds left in overtime. You're like, now what?
That will be Harbaugh. I'm calling my shot.
And it will rule. I will love that.
Yeah,
it will be a highlight of the season whenever it happens. We're also going to have expanded replay assist. The NFL owners have approved that. Essentially, it will expand instant replay's ability. I have the rule now in front of me. To advise the on-field officials on specific objective aspects of a play and or to address game administration issues when clear and obvious video evidence is present. So like if there's a roughing the passer penalty and the sky judge or the instant replay can buzz down and say, hey, yeah, bad call. Like obviously blatantly bad. Then they can buzz down and get the flag picked up. Once again, file this under something bad happened to somebody playing against the Chiefs, so they had to make a rule about it.
See, I disagree about that. This should have been in the league 15 years ago.
Now, I don't disagree, but I think the urgency is because Houston got 2 bogus roughing the passers against, one bogus roughing the passer. The other one was fine.
Always.
Whichever one you think was fine was fine.
It's always worse when it happens in the playoffs. I certainly agree with that. Yeah.
So
it's different when it's week 2 versus it's the divisional round. That's for sure.
Touchbacks on kickoffs will now bring the ball to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bring more kick returns into the game. Things that have not been passed. The tush-push ban that has been tabled. According to ESPN.com, there are 16 teams in favor. That is not enough. You need 3/4 of the league to agree to pass a rule change. So there are 8 teams that would need to change their minds on the banning of the tush-push. We know at least one of the 16 teams not in favor is not going to change their mind. I don't think Philadelphia is going to vote to ban the tush push.
No, Sirianni had a quote this week, too, that, well, I know we're not going to vote against it. And Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, and Kellen Moore all have head coach jobs because of that play, so they better not vote against it, which
Good line.
honestly, very funny.
Yeah, really funny. Only good thing Nick Sirianni's ever done. So that's been tabled. They're going to vote on it again in a month. It just baffles me that they're actually going to get this overturned. It's just sore loser behavior on the part of everybody who votes to ban this play. Also, Detroit had proposed to eliminate an automatic first down as a penalty imposed for defensive holding and illegal contact. That did not pass.
Hey, Dan, do you know who got called for the most defensive holding and illegal contact penalties in the NFL last year?
Why? Was it the Detroit Lions?
It sure was. That one was shameless.
Yes.
Truly shameless.
I don't necessarily hate that proposal. Like the fact that you could be 3rd and 15 and get bailed out on a defensive holding. Like, I'm okay with it. Maybe make it 10 yards, but not an automatic first down. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do with that. But
I agree.
Disincentivize it, but don't turn it into a free spin of the wheel.
The offense already has too many things that benefit it.
Extremely true.
Another good reason why you should keep the fumble out of the end zone as a touchback rule.
And one last NFL change or update for 2025. A Christmas Day triple header is coming. Christmas is on a Thursday this year. The NFL will air 3 Christmas Day games, the first 2 of them on Netflix, the primetime game on Amazon Prime. They are coming for the NBA's throats, and they are coming for your marriage if your team plays on Christmas Day.
And I can guarantee the Chiefs will be one of those teams again.
I am less upset about this year than I was, and I wasn't like upset last year. I will be far more upset when it's on a Friday next year. Like, man, come on. It's already almost the weekend. Come on. Thursday, you already do Thanksgiving triple header. It's already an NFL day. It bothers me less.
Wednesday was egregious.
Yes,
Thursday
agreed.
is like, okay, you have been playing on this day for long enough that this is at least.
Yes, everyone in the NFL is used to it at this point.
Yeah.
And plus,
you don't have to rework your schedule.
Yeah. So they'll do a Saturday triple header then the week before, though.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
So then it'll just be an expanded version of what the Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, and Steelers did this past year.
Yeah. It will be fascinating because I do think that there's appetite from like the C-suite with the Chiefs. Like Mark Donovan has said, we'd love to be like the Cowboys of Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but has essentially said, yeah, we would love to play on Christmas every year. That would be totally fine with us. Or maybe Black Friday was the one that they really said that, like, yeah, we'd be happy to play on Black Friday every year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, that's going to be a hard sell. Like the players union at some point has to say, hey, man, you got to stop making the same teams playing the same, like on Christmas. Like it's one thing that, okay, the Lions and the Cowboys tradition for 60 odd years now. It's quite another to ask teams to continue to give up Christmas. It's a different deal.
No, I agree. And Christmas is just so different than Thanksgiving because, for some families, Thanksgiving is a huge, huge holiday and you're doing things all day and you got the big meal and family and you're watching the parade in the morning. But also in just American culture, football is such a big part of Thanksgiving. It just, whether you're watching or not, that is part of what Thanksgiving is in America. You watch the Lions early, you watch the Cowboys in the afternoon, you eat somewhere in there, and then you take your tryptophan nap in the first half of the night game. Like that's how you do it around America.
Yeah.
Christmas is different though.
Yes.
For many reasons, spiritual and secular, it is very different.
Text from 785 asked if the NBA will continue to try and compete with the NFL. Absolutely. I don't think the NBA is going to cede their ground on Christmas because I think there is a certain segment of the sports fan population that will prefer the big NBA day over the NFL day. It's not a large population, but it's out there. There are people that like basketball more than they like football.
Yeah, no, there is. When I was a much younger kid, I remember being excited for Christmas Day. I don't watch it anymore. Now that there's football, I never will. Maybe if the Bulls are on. But yeah, no, the NBA is going to do their thing because they are committed to it. But for people who think the only discussion you need to talk about sports is TV ratings, great for them. Mark's got a comment here. Dan just put it up on the YouTube. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the show when we were talking to Matt Verderame. Mark B says the NFL needs to chill a bit. This is trending toward overload. I agree. And this is as close as I've ever felt thinking like there's too much football here. Between 3 days of tush push talk in Florida, which is so boring, it makes my eyes fall out of my head.
Yeah.
And now, hey, remember that one day where you didn't have football? Guess what? Now you get it. Like, I love football and I want to watch every game. Can you make it like so I don't have to forego 3 hours with my kid so I can watch like that? I'd prefer that.
Like
personally.
The open presence with my son and my niece. Like,
yeah. Come on.
Those are our 580 Sports Talk headlines today. Yes, the NFL has cannibalized like this week of conversation because now it's all the rule changes. They're always in our face.
Yeah.
They are inescapable presence in the sports landscape.
Okay, so at the end of this month, it'll be the draft up in Green Bay. In between there, what are we going to get? We'll get Rodgers to Pittsburgh at some point.
Mock drafts every single day.
Mock draft Monday. Get ready. I'm already in the lab cooking something up. Yeah, I mean, we'll get more and more of it. This is a great time for them, though. Baseball is just starting. The true baseball heads are obviously in Valhalla, but it's the worst time of year to watch the NFL and the NBA because like half of each league is not trying at this point because the playoffs for the NBA are set, except for the play-in the East.
Yeah, you're trying. There's lots of like seeding machinations going on right now. That's
but for like the casual or slightly above casual basketball fan, that's not gripping you.
No, at this point, it's like just get to the playoffs.
Get there.
That's how I feel. Like I can't even be fussed. Like I root for an NBA team, and I can't even be fussed about the results. Like who cares? These guys are bored. They want to play the high stakes games. These are not it.
I'm kind of rooting for the Bulls. The Bulls have been pretty fun the last 3 weeks. I'm kind of hoping they lose out, though, miss the play-in, and still have a puncher's chance at Cooper Flag. Kind of what I'm rooting for.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Torpedo bats. What's their deal? And how long are we going to see them? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. .535 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer with you. Royals baseball coming up. Bottom of the hour pregame coverage. 6:40 first pitch. The big topic in baseball through a little less than a week of games, the Torpedo bats. They were a big thing over the weekend because a bunch of Yankees players were using them, and they scored a jillion runs against the Brewers, who might just have a crappy pitching staff. It's also not a whole pitching staff. They've got a bunch of injuries, like Aaron Ashby's hurt. They signed the left-hander, former Cub, White Sox left-hander, Quintana. They signed Jose Quintana. He's not ready yet. So they've got a bunch of like hoodats pitching right now for them, one of whom is starting against the Royals tonight. And that's part of the reason why the Brewers have been so stinky. But they gave up all those home runs, 9 homers and 20 runs in the Saturday afternoon game at Yankee Stadium. And everybody's talking about these bats. And if you haven't seen them, they do look funny. Essentially, the idea behind them is to increase the mass of the bat in the barrel area where you want to make the most contact. And so it's increasing the sweet spot a little bit. Improve the chance that you hit the ball on the barrel. Obviously, Yankees players have used them to great effect. Last night, I saw Ellie De La Cruz of the Reds using one. He said it was the first time in his life he'd ever used one. He hit 2 gargantuan home runs to center field, went 4 for 5 last night. So this is a capital T thing. Whether it's placebo effect or bad early pitching, who's to say? But this is very definitely going to be a talking point moving forward. RJ Anderson, friend of the program of CBS Sports, reached out to some sources in the league. One front office source told him, quote, "I think they'll be banned. I think MLB will be compelled to establish a rule to prevent them from getting out of hand. And I think the interests of fairness will direct that rule to be something that more or less bans the torpedo design."
God forbid we have offense in April.
See, here's the thing about that. Like, I am not opposed to more offense because I have said many times on this program, pitchers are too good. We have superpowered the pitchers. And that is the biggest reason why you see less offense in Major League Baseball than you used to. The pitchers are too good. Everyone is throwing 95 with 2 killer breaking pitches. And if they only have 1 killer breaking pitch, they're in the bullpen. And then they can dial up that 95 to 99 or 100. Like, guys you never heard. It used to be, and I know I've said this exact thing on the show before. It used to be a huge deal when somebody would pop up and throw 100 miles an hour. Remember Joel Zumaya for the Detroit Tigers?
Guitar Hero legend.
Yes, back in 2006 when the Tigers went to the World Series. He was their top setup guy, and he threw 100 miles an hour. That made him a freak. That made him must-see TV because there weren't but a handful of guys who were pumping 100-mile-an-hour ched. And now, every week, a team you don't watch is calling up a guy you've never heard of who throws exactly that hard.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but I do very, very, very clearly remember Aroldis Chapman's first game in Chicago after the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres to the Yankees to get him. And dirtbag or not, and yes, his debut in Chicago was a huge deal. It was 2016, the World Series year. It felt like the missing piece, all of that. And he was good until Game 7. And the Cubs had thrown, it was 2016. It was something like the Cubs had 1,600-mile-an-hour pitches as a team since 2000. And he threw 15 in his first inning with the Cubs. And it was like, oh, okay, we Boston Dynamics robots to pitch and be our closer. Oh, my God, this is unbelievable. Braden, who plays for the Marlins, who you've never heard of, who went to some like JUCO and then just walked onto the team last week, throws 102 with movement.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
With tail and spins a sweeper with 3,000 RPM.
Nothing has changed baseball in the last 10 years, if not more than driveline.
Yeah, a text from the 785 asked, why are pitchers able to throw triple digits so much more often? It is
Science.
Advancements in training and technology, and the fact that that's how you get signed. So now every pitcher is pursuing that. There aren't a lot of pitchers anymore who are like, I got a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's fine. Like I'm gonna sit 92, 93 with a little movement, a little cutter, a little curveball, a little changeup, and that's gonna get me drafted. That's gonna get me signed. That's gonna get me to the bigs. Nah, man, if you're not throwing 98, 99, they're not looking at you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's the pursuit of it. It starts at the young ages, and it does. There's pitching labs. Everybody's got labs now. So that's where that comes from. So yes, I'm not necessarily opposed to something that gives the hitters a potential leg up. But I do think that it's one thing to give hitters a leg up. It's another to make the thing that is supposed to be the separator between great hitters and average ones, which is the ability to barrel the baseball, to essentially make that skill easier. That doesn't sit right with me.
Okay.
The idea that it's easier to barrel the baseball because of where we're distributing the mass of the bat. Like, I don't love the thought that any old hitter can rack up the barrels and then thus hit the ball with more exit velocity, hit the ball further. Like, that to me doesn't seem, even though the bats are legal, by the book legal, nobody's taken them out of the games. There hasn't been like a pine tar type incident, like George Brett storming out of the dugout because you took away my torpedo bat. Like that won't happen. These bats are legal as of right now. They are within the specifications. But to me, that's the part that doesn't sit quite right. It makes a hard thing to do slightly easier. And the other part of this too is I'm in favor of more offense, but if all of it is just home runs, then it's boring.
Yeah.
Like where we lean further into, and RJ Anderson has a quote on this, the idea that we are so now baseball is so much about what we call the 3 true outcomes: walks, strikeouts, home runs. This would seem, at least early on, to be leaning further into more home runs. And I think more home runs are bad for the entertainment product of baseball, even if they are good for the number under R going up across the league. More runs, that's great. But if it's all home runs, it's not great for the entertainment product.
You should have to be a certain type of player to get to use these. Guys who, like Major League Baseball, this is like a Mike Greenberg dumb rule right here. But like Major League Baseball should have a database of power hitter versus a slugger versus a gap power guy versus slap contact guys. Like my boy Nico Horner for the Cubs, second baseman. He's been using this, the bat. You know how many home runs he has? 0. You know what his career high in home runs is? 10. When he hit 10 in 135 games back in 2022. He's never been into double digits other than that. He's been in the big since 2019. Hits a lot of singles, hits a lot of doubles. You know what he's done a lot of to start this year? Hit a lot of singles. He's 6 for 16 at the plate. You know what he has none of? Homers, triples, or doubles. It's just singles everywhere. That's the kind of player who should get to use torpedo bats. You want action on the base paths? You want plays? I want slap hitters to use these big bats. Get the speedy guys on base.
Yeah, more barrels for the Nicky Lopez's of the world.
The ability to use the torpedo bat should be inversely proportional to your height and weight. Like, you need to be under 6 foot and under 200 pounds to use it. Like Aaron Judge, no, sorry, you can't. Salvi, I'm sorry, you can't do it. Nicky Lopez, we're about to revive your career. Kevin Biggio, we have found the key to you being an everyday starter.
Andrew Benintendi, you're going to live up to that contract in Chicago after all.
Oh, man, Royal Great.
Gold Glover.
Yeah.
Andrew Benintendi. We'll take a
Is he
timeout.
the weakest arm to ever win a Gold Glove?
Benintendi?
Yeah.
It was a terrible arm.
It was pretty bad. Remember that time he spiked a ball like 20 feet in front of him trying to throw out a runner at third?
Oh, yeah. Remember when Raul Bañez did that like a couple of times? That's an all-time funny baseball. Like,
yeah, it is.
Like on the hierarchy of baseball bloopers, I don't know that there are many that rank above outfielder winding up to throw a ball with all his might and the ball going straight into the ground 3 feet in front of them.
This would have been a great random question Tuesday for today. What's the funniest blooper in any sport?
Man, I saw one last night on Blue Sky from a college baseball game. Like, winning run on third, bottom of the ninth, less than 2 out, fly ball to the right fielder, makes a catch in foul territory, and lets go a throw that, I'm not kidding you, disappears from view as it is still rising. He threw that son of a gun to the moon. The run scored easily and the home team won. But like,
had to make sure he got it there.
He put everything behind that throw, and I think it might be orbiting over Galveston right now. Unbelievably funny. I watched the clip like 10 times. It was set. It was set to. It was set to "I'm a Boss" by Meek Mill too. Perfect clip.
That's awesome.
Perfect clip. We'll take a timeout. Come back. Preview tonight's Royals game on 580 Sports Talk. But first, a word for my friends at Great Life here in Topeka. Eventually, we're going to get some good golf weather. At some point, I believe it to be true. We are going to get some good weather for golf, and I can't wait to get on the links as a member of Great Life Golf with the 5 outstanding courses in the Topeka area. They provide a lot of fun and a great challenge for golfers experienced or inexperienced or talented or on the other end of the spectrum like me. They are great fun to play, and the benefits for being a Great Life Golf member are outstanding. So go to greatlifetopeka.com today to find out what you can get for being a Great Life Golf member. Take a timeout, come back, talk Royals next. .548 on 580 Sports Talk. Royals and Brewers tonight. Royals going for a series win over the still winless Brew Crew, who send totally real guy and not MLB The Show creative player Chad Patrick to the mound to make his first big league start, second big league appearance. His first one did not go well. He gave up 2 runs, including a home run on Saturday against the Yankees, and I'm sure he blamed the Torpedo bats. Chad Patrick getting the nod against this Royals lineup tonight. Jonathan India in left field, Bobby Witt Jr. at short. Michael Massey elevated to the 3-hole. Vinny Pasquantino getting a day off. Nothing to be concerned about. He was taking ground balls. Ann Rogers says no big deal. Michael Massey's going to bat third tonight at second base, and Salvador Perez behind the plate. Kevin Biggio at first will bat fifth. Then Hunter Renfroe in right. MJ Melendez the DH. Red hot Michael Garcia batting eighth. And Kyle Isbell in center, batting ninth, in support of the right-hander Michael Lorenzen, making his 2025 debut. I'm really fascinated by Lorenzen this season because he was a guy, of course, the Royals acquired at the trade deadline last year. Got him from Texas. And he came over and immediately changed his repertoire of pitches, what he was throwing, how often he was throwing it, when he was throwing it in certain counts, and had a really good run of success before he hurt his hamstring in that Cleveland series at the end of, would have been the end of August. But he had a really good run as soon as the Royals said, hey, why don't you try these new things? We've noticed some things. We were watching your tape. We were scouting you. Let's give this a shot. And it worked really well. Now, he didn't become overpowering. It wasn't like he was striking out 12 guys per 9 or anything. In fact, it was still a pretty contact-heavy profile, but it was effective. And you'll take that from your fifth starter, which is what Lorenzen is. So I'm really curious to see if he's going to be able to build on some of the gains that he showed in that month where he was in the Royals rotation last year. In that way, he's one of the more interesting Royals this year to me.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm intrigued to see if he can continue to build on that. I don't know if I'd call the end of last season, a career renaissance or anything like that, because he never totally tapered off. He wasn't that long ago. He was an all-star, in fact, for Detroit, if I remember correctly.
Somebody had to be.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I would consider him big as well, because I think if he is not very good, like slightly below average, if he's a little bit worse than he was a season ago, you still have a pretty good rotation overall if Bubic is able to pitch well, but maybe not. Like, if you can have Lorenzen pitch as well as he did down the stretch, though, I think you've got one of the better rotations in the American League, all things considered.
The potential is certainly there.
Yeah.
And I think he's a guy who's going to benefit from his home park. His home runs allowed dropped sharply in the 28 and 2/3 innings he threw as a Royal. He allowed just 2 in that time frame. So, yeah, you keep the ball in the ballpark. You don't walk a bunch of guys. That sets you up for success if you can limit how often you are doing those two things. And Lorenzen was able to limit how often he did those things as soon as he got to Kansas City last year. We'll see if he can limit them moving forward. Again, the lineup for the Brewers tonight, Bryce Terang will hit leadoff at second base. Jackson Churrios in right field. Christian Yelich is in left. William Contreras DHs and hits cleanup. Sal Frelick is the center fielder. Reese Hoskins at first base. Owen Dunn is the third baseman. Joey Ortiz at short. Eric Haas behind the plate. Well-traveled Eric Haas.
Sure.
Batting ninth. Owen Dunn, real guy.
No, not a real. It's too
Oliver
early.
Dunn. I got his name wrong. It's Oliver Dunn. Who the hell is Owen Dunn?
It's too early in the year to be playing a bunch of dudes no one's heard about if you're not the Marlins or the Pirates. And even the Pirates have guys you know about now.
Yeah.
Owen Dunn is a professional bull rider.
Sure. That's definitely where I got that name from. Oliver Dunn. Apologies to the Dunn family. We're almost done here on 580 Sports Talk.
Nice.
We'll take a break, come back with a final word. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's give the baton to Spencer Dupuis. Spencer, give us your final word today.
Final word for me today is it is just early on in this Royal season, and I don't know who's going to win the division, but I sure as heck know no one's running away with this division, and I think it's the Royals for the taking. If they can get right, they can become a juggernaut like they should be, right? They have the players on the roster. Pitching is starting to line up. I think if you can get what you got out of Chris Bubic yesterday for a prolonged period of time, see how your back end of your rotation goes, I think they could be the team that runs away with the American League Central.
Brendan Dorzinski, what is your final word today?
I can understand a lot of the frustration that Kansas fans have with the mass exodus of players this year via the transfer portal. Flory Badunga leaving is obviously a legitimate bummer and a super shock. But that being said, I'm not going to fret all that much about most of these guys leaving. And I don't think it necessarily means anything other than what we already know. This past year was a disappointment filled with a bunch of guys who just didn't really fit what Bill Self's program looks like. Like, not that much in a tizzy about Rylan Griffin or David Coit or probably AJ Storr, although he's still not in the portal, about those guys leaving. I'm just not really fretting it all that much. Now, you got to build a better team. And I do hope that KU learns some lessons about fit and about veteran transfers. But until we know what the roster looks like come November, I'm not going to freak out too much.
Final word for me today. There is a saturation point any product reaches. And I think we have probably already gotten there with the NFL. The idea of another Christmas Day of football and a Christmas Day triple header to boot on not one, but two separate streaming services that you have to pay for separately. It's just heat check after heat check by the league and Roger Goodell at this point. And look, we still keep drinking that garbage. Even if it's not good football, we will still line up and be there for it. But asking your audience to give up their Christmas, to give up some family rituals to watch a Christmas Day triple header, I think that might be a little bit too far. And I do think if they pick the wrong teams and the wrong matchups, they're not going to like the numbers that they get over time with their Christmas Day games. That's going to do it for us today. We're on tomorrow after Royals baseball until 5:30. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.